Alrighty, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Jiu Jitsu Lifting Life podcast. This is your host, Daniel Cartagena, joined always by my co-host.
Hey, Tran. It's me.
Hey, Tran, me. Yeah.
I told you, man.
I know, I messed up that intro anyways, too. Alrighty, guys. For the first time, we have a repeat guest. Joining us again is Nate Ghareeb, not straight off his win, but coming off his win to talk about it and what's coming up next. We're also joined by his jiu-jitsu coach, Alex Warren, and his striking coach, Dan McIntyre. How you guys doing?
Excellent. We're doing
very
excellent.
Well. Doing very well. Thank
That's good. What's up, guys? How you guys? Well, Nate.
What's up?
What is up? What's my name? What's my name? Say for the crowd, man.
No, it's Nate Ghareeb.
Yeah.
How'd
the fight go? How'd the fight go?
Fight went really well, man. It's what we do every single day. It's just another day in the office for us. So.
Can you explain how you won that fight and what round?
First round TKO in, I would say, probably like the 4th minute. And I just kicked his calves a ton and just wore him down, and got to a point where he really wanted to get it to the ground. I think I kicked him right off the bell. I took the center and kicked him, and then he just charged at me, got him in the clinch, hit him with a couple elbows, hit him with a foot sweep. Then I pulled guard a couple times, and then after the calf kicks, he just couldn't walk anymore. So he tried. I think the ref stood us up twice. I don't know. I was just like, I think the second time I knocked him down, he got back up, and he charged at me again. They pulled guard, and I just sat on his butterfly hooks, passed into 3/4 mount, and then started elbowing his head off. So
Jesus,
the ref stopped it.
Yo, Tran, you was there.
I was. It was very exciting. Man, I don't know. We just knew, like, at least as far as I know, like, he had like no kicks, so that was definitely an advantage for Nate. And he was very front foot heavy, I would say, Nate.
His lead foot was very heavy. He's very like stompy. Like he's moving around, kind of stomping around. So
yeah, Nate was just chomping on his legs, and he was just done. It was a super exciting fight for sure, especially watching it live.
How'd that feel? What's my name? How'd that feel?
That felt.
How'd that feel?
I just was in the moment, man. It felt good. It felt good to get another win. You know, like
pumped.
we.
Hell yeah! What?
We took a quick turnaround fight. We just stay sharp. That's what we do. Like, we're always training, we're always working on getting better, and it's just more data for us to go back and work on new things. But I felt like the fight went really well. Actually, leading up to the fight, during warm-ups, I just didn't mentally. I was like, dude, I thought I was gonna lose. I was like, I'm gonna get fucked up. This guy's gonna hurt me. I did not feel like I was ready for some reason, but working with Dan and Alex, like, they just flowed with me and just talked me through it. Like I said, I was straight up honest with Dan, because I tried to hide it a little bit, and then I was just honest with him. I was like, dude, I don't feel right. I just don't feel like this is the right thing. And he's like, dude, just flow. And then we started flowing, and then did some grappling with Alex, did some clinching a little bit with Alex, and just flowed with the two of them. And then it was like, when the fucking song came on, I was like, all right, I'm going to fucking hurt this guy. Like, I can still feel it right now. Like, when the song started playing, I was like, all right, this motherfucker's going down. I don't care about anything. I don't care. Like, I think this was the most focused I've ever been in a flow state. And I think it just came down to managing my emotions properly. Like, I've had enough experience in the cage and enough walkouts now, and dealt with so much competition that it was cool to kind of go through that stress and then be like, all right, this is what it is. This is what we do. This is, all this work is an accumulation of all the hours that we spend in the gym, all the time we talk about techniques, and all the planning and training and suffering. And the weight cut was fucking horrible. I missed weight by 1.5 pounds, but I mean, at the end of it all, I was like, I didn't do this for nothing. Like, I'm here to make a statement. And I think, like I said on the last podcast, people still, they overlook me. They don't think too much of us. Again, we're just a couple of goofy nerds, but we're coming to fucking hurt you. And we're coming to make statements. And that is like the core of like who we are. Like, we're not just here to be a part of this journey and say we did it. We're not hobbyists. Like, we're training to hurt you. We're training to be the best in the world. That's what we do. So we went out there to show them that's who we are, and that's why I said, "What's my name?" Because if you don't know, you found out, and if you still don't know, that's fine. We'll keep.
You're
showing
gonna
you.
know.
You're gonna know because that's what we do. We're just gonna keep grinding, and eventually they're gonna know who we are. So.
Yeah, man. I personally think when you were saying what's my name, I love that shit. You know me, I'm all about talk that shit, and I'm like, yo, third match on the card, like third fight on the card, bro. Are you serious? Like, what's man? Get me up there, man. What's wrong with you? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Now 2-0, coming back you do another quick turnaround, huh? You staying active?
Yep. We're getting back November 7th in Providence, Rhode Island for CES again. CES 65.
It's a beautiful city, Providence.
Yeah. Oh, nice, nice.
Yeah, you're fighting at lightweight now, though.
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna go up a weight class this time. The last, we fought August and September within a month, and now it's like we have a month off. We didn't have a month off. We're just jumping right back into it. So it doesn't really make sense for me to keep putting my body through that. And I'm strong enough I can grapple with, heavy weights and not really have too much of a strength issue. So it's just like, whatever, we'll go in there like we're sharp. It doesn't matter where it goes. Like, we're capable everywhere. So, 55ers, 45ers, 185ers, whatever.
Oh, all right.
200 pounders.
Those motherfuckers
are calling you out, boy.
No, well, that's good, man. To hear it's at 155 because, like, for what it seems, that's probably like the worstest part, like the toughest part of your fighting is the weight cutting because that's hard. Yeah. Like, people don't understand how hard it is to cut weight and how much weight and discipline you need to be. And like, you're like, oh, only 1.5, man. That 1.5 was probably
it was horrible,
killer. Cause we know you, we trained with you. I know if you can make it, you're not gonna take no shortcut. No. But sometimes your body's like, hey, it doesn't know. It doesn't know what you're doing. It's like, hey, what's going on here? So that's good to go to 155, right? That's exciting. That is, you probably got the power.
Yeah.
That's gonna probably translate another 10 pounds. Gonna feel good. Who are you going against?
David Balea. So he's from Nevada. He's 5-2. And he's coming off of 2 first-round submissions in August and September as well. So,
so he's been staying active too.
He's been, he was off for like I think 10 years, 8 to 10 years, and then he came back and wanted to fight again. I guess according to my wife, he's trying to get to 1. So he wants to get to 1. I'm trying to get to the UFC. So someone's dream is about to.
Yeah, somebody's gonna take a little shortcut. What do you win? What submission? What sub did you catch?
He got a rear naked choke, and then he got a triangle choke. Okay. So, right. He's well versed on the ground, and I believe he's a grappling coach at Syndicate, an MMA coach at Syndicate. So, he definitely knows what he's doing. He's no slouch, and he's 6 feet tall, so he's a little bit bigger than me, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, more body to chop down, right?
Exactly.
More body to chop. Every body type has a advantage, disadvantage, right? What was the call like when they called you and was like, hey, you want to fight again? Or did you contact them?
Well, we were originally going to take some time to work on developing skill, but like I didn't take any injuries in the last fight, and it seemed like they asked to have me back again, and again, it was a quick turnaround. My manager was like, "Do you want to fight again?" And I was like, "I have to think about it," because we had discussed it and we weren't really sure. We really did want to spend some time working on skill, but I just put some time and thought into it, and it seemed like I think this is the right move for us. I'd like to get to 5-1, so that's the goal: get to 5-1, and then seriously take some time to just focus on our skill, because we have been fighting, and even though we always are progressing forward and getting better, it's good to just take some time where you don't have the stress of a fight, stress of a weight cut, stress of other things. Like we also have the gym that we're running. We have other guys that are gonna start fighting and competing. So I'd like to also be able to help them out more and not be the main focus right as of now. Like work and get better with those guys and take some time to prepare for the UFC, because if I finish this guy at 5 and get to 5-1, we're looking at 5 finishes, and they're taking guys on the Contender Series at 5-1, 6-1, 7-1, whatever. Like I'd like to be 7-1, but probably fight again next March and take some time and just focus on skill and focus on building the brand in the gym. And I don't know, man. I'm excited. To get back out there and. Looking forward to it.
That's what's up, man.
That sounds what's up, right? Back at it. You got to stay busy, right? Stay busy, enjoy your youth, get those rounds in. But yeah, that's what people don't understand sometimes. Like, just because you're fighting doesn't mean you're obviously getting better because you're getting rounds in, but it's like a different approach to training.
Absolutely.
You're focusing on what you're gonna do in the fight, what they kind of can do, but you're not really like trying new stuff. Like, you know, like I try to tell people like, I always equate this back to other sports like basketball. You know, they're like, oh, this guy's not a good free throw shooter. Well, is he not taking free throws? Yeah, but when you're in the season, you're not going to practice that. You have to practice that in the off season where you need to do all day is just free throws. You're not going to do that. You're going to do what you do good, and then your scout, which the team does. Then you got to factor in traveling, life, all that other stuff. So you're not going to really get better at one aspect. Whereas if in the off season, that's the only thing you can focus on. So you're going to focus on the mental. Why am I not mentally performing? They're doing this when there's people watching. Get those reps in, get that muscle memory. So, man, that's a great idea. And now we're going to switch because we got the coaches on, and we're super pumped to have you guys on, especially watching, you know, Nate, his fighting. Everybody knows that, like, fighting is tough, and you need a good team. You need a good team around you. Like, a lot of guys have the skill and the technique and stuff, but, like, man, you can hear, like, I'm a sucker for good coaching, like, really good technical coaching. If you watch like UFC fights, man, you hear some really, really bad coaching, man. And I can
especially during COVID, right?
I can only hear some rough coaching.
Yeah, and I can only like imagine like the regional scene, man. The guys could be saying, "Gee, like
don't quit."
Yeah,
like just in jiu-jitsu tournaments in general, right? You hear a lot of these bad coaching, and I can't imagine MMA.
Dude, punch him, hit him.
Like, especially during COVID, right? When you had like no audience, right? So it was like pure like coaching and fighter.
Yeah, and you heard like James Krause, like you heard good coaching, and then like you heard some atrocious. So I want to go to Dan first. So Dan, you want to give us like a little background history on you and stuff? Like we obviously see like your fighter is a representation of what you teach and a part of you, right? So like we're seeing Nate just, I told him I met him back in the day, like. Oh, he told me he wrestled, and then to see he's got what you said 4 TKO wins on your pro record. 4-0. So like, Jesus, man.
Well, I mean, I can't take full credit. You know, Nate's been training for a while and like training all around.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, when we started training together, it seemed like we got along really well. Like we flowed really well together. So I think it's only helped things. As far as my background, like I've been training coming up probably about like 10 years, mostly striking.
Mm-hmm.
And mostly like I trained at local like spots, you know, like I was at Team Link for a while. I started at a Krav gym in Deerfield. But my friends and I like set up a gym in his garage. And for most of my training and like most of my experience, like I was training out of that garage. And like I became like a coach by default because like we were doing it and trying to train like I didn't have much money to go to a real gym and like pay all this money to train all the time. So I was like, well, I'm going to do what I can, you know, with my friends on our own. So it's like I started, you know, researching like how to hold pads better. You know what I mean? What are people doing to get better? It's like you can only do the same thing so many times, like blast, you know what I mean? Like power 1-2s or power 2-3s on the pads before like I need something else. And like I always went to other gyms to spar. You know what I mean? And make sure like what I was doing was working. I at least wanted it to work, you know, even if I was training, you know, at the time when I started, I didn't know if I was going to do anything with it professionally, if I was even going to compete. And so I was like, well, I need to know it's working. I at least want it to work. I'm not just going to be doing this and have no reason for it, you know? And I just kind of kept going from there.
That's all right.
Absolutely,
Yeah. Well, so you started training, and so then you guys, when did you guys link up?
Last November.
Last November
we met. We actually have. I'm pretty sure it was. We had like I like had kind of communicated with him on social media a little bit here and there, but I never met him in person. A lot of kids that I grew up and went to high school with and knew him from his earlier years, I guess, maybe from the band.
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, you should meet this guy. Like he does like Muay Thai, he does like striking. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, we just never linked up. And then, I think what happened was he was at a Cumberland Farms. I went into a Cumberland Farms. We had the masks on. We weren't really sure. And I was like, I think that's that guy. I was like, I'm pretty sure. Cause I wasn't really sure. Cause like, I didn't, like I said, I had kind of talked with him on social media, but I wasn't like, I never seen him in real life. So,
Did you look into his eyes?
Yeah, no, I kind of saw him from the side, and I was like, I think
locked
that's
eyes.
that guy.
Careless whisper played.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's the
Over
truth,
company
huh?
Speakers.
Yeah,
Shout out to Cumberland Farms for building connections.
yeah,
man.
building big connections.
All of our credit to Cumberland Farms.
Come be friends.
Yo, hook up a sponsorship, Cumbies. Come on.
I ended up hitting him up, and then he texted me, and I messaged him on Instagram. Like, it was like a weird thing. He was like, "Hey, is that you?" And I was like, "Hey, is that you?" And then like
now it goes
I
into
saw
the
we like
sliding
checked
into
it, and it was like,
DMs.
yeah, exactly. And then I'm pretty sure, if I can remember correctly, like the next day or like the next 2 days, we ended up getting together. I had hurt myself, like I had like a fucked up toe, so we ended up just chilling at his house watching fights. And he was like breaking down these fights. Like he had us like watching old UFC fights, and he was like talking about that. I'm like, what the fuck? He's like, did you see like him do X, Y, and Z? And I was like, wait, what? Like, no. Like, he starts breaking this stuff down. I was just listening to him talk about fighting. I'm like, man, this fucking guy knows some shit. I was like, what the fuck? He's just like, he could see things that like I couldn't see, and then he'd like rewind it and he'd be like, hey, did you see this? Did you see like how like the course of the fight kind of like, he just break down how it kind of like ended up if it was a finish like or whatever, he would just kind of explain certain things or movements, patterns that I had never seen or didn't understand. And before I left, I remember he was showing me some like shadow boxing, like we were shadow boxing, kind of like showing me some different things, and I was like, I need to learn from this fucking guy. And I'm pretty sure the next day you came to my parents' house, right?
Yeah,
and
yeah,
started
we did
training
some
in the
mitts.
basement. In the basement, and I was like, all right. I was like, from then I was like, for sure, we gotta start training together. And that was November. And then leading up to the Bellator fight, I mean, I worked with this guy 3 times a week. I think we were getting together.
Yeah, at least. Yep.
Before I'd go to FAA, I would train with him in the basement, and we had Alex too. So we were, I was training with Alex in the mornings, and I would train with Dan at night, and then I'd go to FAA, and I was just like, it was just starting to put together this like group of people. It was just really cool to be around, because it was like a fresh perspective, new perspective. So that was like how we first met, and it was really cool, because it's like, we've pretty much just hit it off, and now we've still training together almost a year later now. So
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Where's that come from? Striking. What fascinates you? What brings you into it? What makes you love it?
I don't know if I can explain that. I mean, so like I took to striking like when I started training it, and like I had done karate when I was a kid, but I mean, like, I don't count kids karate as like a very serious like part of my striking development. I mean, like, I've always loved martial arts from the time I was a kid. I was big into like Bruce Lee, you know what I mean, and like Jet Li movies, like all the martial arts movies,
The
and
classics.
stuff like that. Yeah. And then I started training. Like I said, I started with Krav, like training seriously, and then I quickly realized I was like, I need something more fundamental. And then I moved to Muay Thai and like Dutch style kickboxing from there. And I really took to that. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but to me it was just like, it was very brutal, but it was very like technical at the same time. It wasn't just like guys brawling, you know what I mean? Like, you can see that, but like, you're seeing these guys fight very brutally, but very technical, very skilled. And I mean, on a personal level for me, like fighting in general, like why I enjoy training, like I have somewhat like, I don't know if it's ADD or HDD, like I have a hard time focusing. And like when you're fighting, like you can't not focus, you know what I mean? It's like forced. So it's like something that quiets my brain down to where it's like, I can focus on this one thing and everything connects and makes sense, to where like a lot of time in like general life, I'm walking around and I don't understand how, like average things like come together, but I can understand how like a sequence of footwork and like feints and setups like all connects to like an end result. So I mean, that's kind of like, that's a big driving part of why I continue to train. Like I would be training every day, regardless of whether I was training with Nate or, whether I was training to compete or do anything. Like even if I was training to be a hobbyist, you know what I mean? I'd still be training every day. Like it's something I feel like I need to do more than something like I want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. How is it from you holding mitts from your friends to now holding a professional fighter's mitts and training with a professional fighter? Like, what's the difference in style, breaking tape down, planning everything out? What goes into that? Now being a striking coach, as opposed to like, you're with your buddies, you're holding mitts, get in shape, you like fighting, now you're with the professional fighter.
Yeah. I mean, in the garage with my friends, it was more like whatever we felt like working on, you know what I mean? And I could just kind of bring something that, where I was like, I think we're going to try this out and see how it works and see how it goes. And like, you can still do that, with like somebody competing and stuff, but during like fight camps and stuff is not the time to do it. It's during the development time. I would say that it's really forced me to like look at how to develop striking programs like as a whole and not just pieces that you can drill. Like not necessarily just coming up with, oh, we can do this drill and it'll get us really good at this, but like coming up with other drills that go along with that to get the whole picture there. You know, like obviously the focus, like when it's just your friends, you know, training to just be good at it, you have more time. Like, you know, you don't have to be like, oh, I need to like have this guy ready to do this by this date. You know, so it's really looked at, I think it's really made me evaluate how I look at drills, how I develop drills, how I look at techniques and other systems and things like that, and how like making sure that they actually have a practical application and it's, you know, like fact-based, like film-based evidence on a lot of things compared to just doing something because, oh, I like it or, oh, it's flashy and I think it looks cool, you know?
Which one do you like more, Muay Thai or Dutch kickboxing?
Muay Thai.
Muay Thai? Why? Can you explain to the viewers why?
So I would say
When we don't have viewers yet.
When I
Put on camera.
When I first started getting into striking, I would say the Dutch kickboxing actually stood out more, but I think it's because it's more heavy hands. So it's more like a boxing style mentality where they're going to throw like a lot of hands at you and then hard kicks. What I started to notice though, as I watched more and more fights, is that a lot of Dutch kickboxers under the Thai rule set started to have a hard time because of the clinch and the grappling. And like, there's so much to Muay Thai. Like a lot of people will dumb it down to like standing in front of each other and just trading like hard combos and trying to block back and forth. But like, there's so much nuance in like transition and setups and like guys that are good at sweeps, guys that are good at kneeing you and tying you up, guys that are elbow specialists, you know, like guys that are kick specialists, guys that are teep specialists. And it's like, I think that there's a little bit more depth to the art of Muay Thai than a lot of people give it credit for. And it's a Dutch kickboxing, like that almost comes more from Kyokushin karate than it really does Muay Thai. But yeah, like I still like a lot of Dutch kickboxers. There's a lot of really, you know, educated, very technical, highly skilled like Dutch kickboxers, but I tend to value those like the Thais more, you know, like I see a lot more like crafty technicians than like athletic powerhouses, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. What's better than a nice foot sweep? Like a nice, beautiful, well-timed foot sweep, and you see somebody just whoop, and the guy just, our woman just whoop, just falls. And then when you see a foot sweep, it's like I try foot sweeps now, and I just kick people, and they just look at me, and I go, "I was trying, man. I was trying." You just like you kick the shit out them, and they just stare at you like, well, here, push, collar tie, here, do something else. My bad.
It's that Mexican karate.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Kyokushin, man. That's that crazy karate style where they don't do any strikes to the face, but you can kick the face. So you can't punch the face, but you can kick it and you can do body shots. I used to watch Human Weapon a lot when it was on the History Channel. That was that show. And it used to make sense to me. Like, oh, you take a guy that could fight and you give him a week of learning a martial art, and he goes against a badass guy in that martial art. Yeah, he could do it. And then after training, I'm like, dude, a week is nothing. Like you can't. A week is nothing. They just set those guys up to get beat up. That's all. They just. You're gonna go train You're gonna go train Muay Thai for a week, and then you're gonna go against a really good fighter, and then they just get messed up.
He's been doing it for like years,
for real,
not decades.
You don't realize like in Muay Thai too, they fight a lot, especially at a young age.
Yeah.
And what people don't realize too about Muay Thai is like the betting is crazy. Like and. When they bet, they change their style and they change the rounds up, and they do certain things. Or like the first round, they go really light, and that's when people start changing the lines. Yeah. And one of my best friends is from Thai, and he's from Thailand, and he's always telling me about going over there. And he's like, dude, you got to watch Muay Thai. I'm like, I don't really gamble. He's like, no, dude, it's different. He's like, it's gambling, but it's different culture. Like that's all they do. They smoke cigarettes and they gamble when they watch Thai fights, bro. It's crazy. And he's like, yo, it's cheap. Don't worry. Like the currency there is different than here. And they really are really good technicians, man. You know, it's just a shame that like a lot of people lose that art of throwing knees and elbows. A lot of people don't have that clinch style, you know, because it's a beautiful art. It's very brutal, but I mean, everything in fighting should be brutal because it's fighting. Yeah. You know, and people don't have that mentality. Like, you know, we'll save that conversation for another time because, you know, people like, you know, you can look cute on, you know, Instagram hitting mitts, but then when you get into a fight, you're like, oh my God, that dude did a dick move. It's not a dick move. We're fighting. Yeah.
I mean, really, like it boils down to like who's better at injuring the other person. Like people make this argument about like, oh, like you don't want to injure your opponent. It's like, no, you don't.
Fuck?
Well,
I do.
You don't
Hell
necessarily like want to give them long-term injuries, but at the same time, like the whole point is like I'm going to try to hurt you worse before you hurt me.
Yeah.
To the point where like you're gonna stop moving and stop trying to hurt me.
Dude, I was talking to Lewis and we were talking to Morgan, and he was like, I was like, yeah. He's like, yeah. So when you guys go in competition against somebody, you weren't trying to like break their shit, right? And me and Lewis like looked at each other, looked at him, and we're like, yeah. Lewis was like, I was trying to break his shit. I was like, me too. He was like, what? You guys try to do that? I'm like, yeah. Like you don't. He's like, nah. If they don't tap, I'll probably just let it go. Bro, in competition, hell, I was like, nah.
I feel like, I mean, in competition, it's very different. Like training, like you want to hurt your opponents, you don't want to hurt your training partners. But yeah, the point, like it's still a martial art, and people love to show flashy stuff because that's what gets eyes on the sport, which is good. But you know, like Dan's saying, there's a big difference in what people say they do and sell you on DVDs and what actually works in competition. Like you're going to sink to your floor, you know?
Yeah, this is perfect. So Alex, what's up, bro? How you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm happy to be here.
We're glad to have you, man.
It's a cool spot.
Yeah, it's a really nice studio. Pat really hooked it up, yo. This table is nice.
He's making moves, yeah.
Oh yeah, he's a busy man. Busy. I met you a couple years back, and now, like again, you're
the first spot, right?
Yeah, at the first spot we rode a little bit. Nate was there. I didn't roll with you, but I rode with you and Will Chaka. Will Guzman?
Yeah, Will Guzman.
Yeah. I call him Chaka. I think that's his name on it. So I just
his
say
name is
Chaka.
Chaka.
Yeah,
His name is
Chaka.
Chaka.
And you guys rolled in, and yeah, you fucked me up. So I was like, damn, who is this kid and stuff? And then didn't see you. You know, obviously everything's going on, and now you're the head instructor, jiu-jitsu instructor at the gym, at your own gym. Congrats to that, man.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
And you're going to get some badass dudes.
Kuzushi, right?
I'm definitely trying.
Kuzushi Combat Club. Hell yeah, guys. Follow them on Instagram.
And where's that again?
It's in Hatfield.
Hatfield.
Yeah, it's kind of private. It's not really a public gym. It was really just meant to be Nate's fight camp that we kind of balance out with students, and we are trying to grow it. But you know,
So
if Nate's fighting, like priority wise, it's going to be Nate, followed by other students. But competitors, of course, like we want to grow the brand, but gotta keep doing what got us to the dance, which is preparing Nate for these fights.
Yeah, man. So I know you. Tran knows you. Do you want to tell the people listening a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I'm from Northampton. I started like most people, like Dan said, at Team Link back in the day. I actually met Nate there. Way back in the day. I started when I was 13 years
crazy,
old.
Like all of us started at
it was the spot around here. Yeah, and I didn't like the gi so much.
Literally.
We did. Oh,
Everyone did.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I started with John Manley. Yeah.
Yeah, same. So I didn't like the gi so much. I was also like kind of too big for the kids class, too small for the adults class. Mm-hmm. So eventually I stopped training there, and then I got a job at a chocolate store, met some people, and then this girl, Tiffany Lafreniere, was like, oh, my boyfriend teaches. And so her boyfriend, Tim Babiak, has a studio in East Hampton, and I rolled up. And then what he did was very different. It wasn't really Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but he was a big 10th Planet guy. And he was all like self-taught reading these books. And I was like, wow, this is very different. Like the Lockdown, I'd never seen that before. All this new 10th Planet stuff. And so then John opens up a spot down the street. So I'm kind of training at both places. So best of both worlds. And then I think eventually Nate and I started... we were rolling at John Manley's, and that's kind of how we got started. And then he started training with Tim, and we all started training together. And then, we brought Dan in, and it's kind of just been us trying to find the best people around to train with. It's never really like, I feel like why it works with us is we aren't really into like the politics of like, I don't know, people get butthurt about cross training and stuff. And like, we just want good people to get better with. And so we did this in the basement. Eventually it was just me and Nate in the basement or in his house in Enfield, and we would just put mats down and be like, hey, this is what's going on. This is what I'm thinking. We test it out, and it was just kind of like a workshop vibe.
That's what's up. What's up. Yeah, you guys are making moves, man, for real. Like, first of all, you're talking to the king of cross training right here, Tran.
Who's that, me?
He's the king.
I love it, man.
He's the king of cross training. I need to cross train more, but I'm so busy now that I'm teaching fundamentals, and my son trains. So he's training Mondays and Wednesdays and Saturdays. So like I can't really.
Sense.
Yeah, I really don't. And then I teach Tuesdays, Wednesday morning, Thursday. So I really don't have like
time is
time.
money, you know. It's like we just
Yeah.
had a student actually, and he was saying like, hey, like, you know, he goes to UMass, so Hatfield's maybe 20 minutes, 25 minutes. There can be traffic, and there's a gym, NESF, that's like 5 or 10 minutes away.
I've worked with some of those people. Yeah.
Yeah, and he wants to be. I don't know, like. I feel like he felt kind of bad being like, "Hey, just wanted to let you know I'm going to sign up at NESF. I love you guys," and I'm like, "Oh, that's fine. Yeah, it's great."
Yeah, man. At the end of the day, like you're paying. Like I love jiu-jitsu. I love my team to death. Like I do. I've been white, blue, purple there. But at the end of the day, it is a business, and you're paying for a service, and if it makes better, not better, if it works better for your life, then you have to do what's better for your life,
right?
yeah.
'Cause
Like not even
proximity.
Exactly. So if you're traveling and you don't have to travel, then hey, it is what it is, right? You know what I mean? You gotta think about yourself. Like what happens if your transportation doesn't work out? Then then you're paying.
It's never personal.
Yeah,
it's like
it's never
people are going to
personal.
train where they want to train, and that's great.
Dude, for some reason, man, and when it comes to like the martial art community, people take everything personal. Like for some like tough, strong guys and women, man, they are soft. Like
A lot of prima donnas here. Yeah.
it's crazy, man. Like they take things to heart, and it's like, hey, it's not that deep, man. You know what I mean? So I'm happy for you guys. So like you guys got your knit. Like how do you feel, Nate? Like having this team. The moves, I mean, we already know the moves that you're making and everything like that. Like, how do you feel now that, like, do you feel like your team is finally, like, rounding out? You're feeling like you're in a good spot? Obviously, two straight wins, TKOs. About to get a third TKO. I'm calling it. Calling it 3-3. Now I'm betting.
I feel good, man. I feel more at place than I've felt in a long time. And, I have to give credit to these two for helping to provide that environment, because when we started KCC, we kind of all agreed that it was a place that we wanted to, and I believe Dan basically had said this, is that we wanted a place that we didn't have when we were coming up. And that isn't a knock on any of the other gyms that we've trained at in the past. It just, as we were kind of just saying, is like there are certain places for certain people, and I think it's important that people pay attention to their environments. And I think we've had this conversation before, because your environment is everything. It is that cliche saying of like you are the average of the 5 people that you are around, and so that doesn't just go for the type of techniques you're training, but also goes for like your lifestyle, your the way that you talk, the way that you act, the way that you treat each other. And, these guys have been nothing but good. And, they've invested a lot of their time to help me and helped us put together an environment that finally feels right for where, like for me, I feel like I'm right at place, like, of course we're a smaller gym, and there are definitely times where, you wonder like, oh, well, as a small gym, do you need to be at a big gym? But to be honest with you, like the amount of progression that I've had working just with these two alone is unfucking believable. So, I mean, I can't, it's a weird thing. Like I was telling Dan this, when I met him, that I was kind of going through the motions and things were kind of getting a little stale for me with training. And I felt like I wasn't learning as much as I had when I first started, which I thought was just a normal thing. You learn enough, and then you kind of just get, you don't get complacent, but you do this, you kind of plateau. Yeah, you plateau. Mm-hmm. So, what I said to him was like, there was a point where I was just like praying for something different. Like I was like, I don't know, I was reading like the law of attraction type shit.
Put stuff out in the universe, it'll come right back. Yeah.
I was like, just like every night I was like, I just need something different, something new, some new flavor, like a please, like whatever it is, please. And then just like out of fucking nowhere, run into this guy at a Cumberland Farms like a week later. And
Now we're in love.
Fast move.
And now we're in love. now we love each other. And we're together.
I see it. I see it.
So from my perspective, it was always me and Nate getting in work wherever we needed to get it in, whether it's a gym or our house. Like we just want to get better. And so Nate was telling me about this guy, Dan. He's like, dude, this guy, Dan, he gets it. So eventually it's really like the same thing that we do. Nate's doing with Dan, where it's like, it's not like we're going to spend 5 hours, it's like we might only have 30 minutes in a day. People are busy. So it's like, hey, what are we working on today? It's very efficient training. It's very efficient training. And that's why we're all, I feel like so compatible, is because we just want to get better. And it's very like simple for us, you know? Like, we just want to find out what works and test it. And if it doesn't work, keep asking these questions and find out what works, you know?
Yeah. So Alex, about like you, like, you're now that you're running the school, running the program, working with Nate, what is your thought process as like a jiu-jitsu coach, jiu-jitsu competitor, a martial artist? Like, explain to me like all that's involved, you know, because you're not a hobbyist anymore. You know what I mean?
I've never really seen myself as like an athlete or a competitor. Like when you ask Dan, you know, like, why do you do what you do? It's like, we just kind of do it for the sake of doing it, you know? But it's really important to just not get complacent and like be only a coach. I think like you need to test yourself, or you don't need to, but you should, you know? I think like a person that is going to coach should at least compete every once in a while. I'm not trying to be some crazy competitor, you know? If the money's there, I don't really care, but I'm way more into coaching than I am being a competitor, if that makes sense.
So what's your thought process? I get it. Keenan Cornita says competition is a way for you to prove what you're doing in the gym works. Exactly. It's a way to show. Yeah. So it's just like, oh, I'm teaching this, then I go in competition, I do it. So hey, that's how I show you it works, which is like the best thing I can. You know, it's like, what was it, on Thursday? We were rolling, and I rode with all the new guys that took my fundamental class, and I was going nice, but I had to them up because like they've never rode with me. So I was going super nice, not going hard, but I was still tapping them and, you know, doing some stuff to them. And I was like, Pat, you got to let them know. Like, you got to let them know, because they all they see me is coaching. They don't see me really rolling, and they don't roll with me. So after a while, people, you know, they not that they doubt you or not respect
Just
you.
slap the puppies.
Yeah. So
as Tim would say. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't slap. But
I know what you mean though.
no, yeah,
it's
yeah.
like,
You have to show them, like, you got to. So it's that way they know. You know what I mean? Because there's always levels to everything, and if you only hear a person say so much.
seeing is believing. Seeing is believing.
So
You know?
sometimes you gotta
absolutely.
let,
Ryan
let a
Hall-
motherfucker know. You know what I'm saying?
You know, what's my name?
Whoop a
Yeah, you know?
motherfucker's ass.
Like,
Say my, what's my name?
So
Coach, you damn right.
I'm a big of a victim of this as anyone, but like, you go on Instagram, you see so many cool moves, and it's like, so I run the UMass club, right? And so it's a bunch of beginners who are like brand new white belts, and then some people who are more serious about it. But I can't show them like all fundamentals because they'll get bored. They just want to roll. So it's like, for every, I keep a 1-to-1 ratio of like a move that like, okay, you got to learn to shrimp and hip escape and heist. But for every one of those, I'll just show like a cool lockdown, like a dogfight to plan B, just like when everyone's like, whoa, you know, because that's what keeps people coming. Like, knowing your audience is everything, you know?
Yeah.
But anyway, so Ryan Hall has a good quote that like 75% of the stuff that you see on Instagram, like from the bottom, let's say, could just be replaced with getting up on a single leg and not being terrible at it.
Yeah.
And so that's like a big reality check
Yeah.
of competing, is like, oh, like you really get to see like where your floor is, you know?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's you're showing your jiu-jitsu. Like, you're showing your school jiu-jitsu, but you're showing your patterns, your thought process and stuff. So, I mean, you don't have to compete all the time, but it's good. It keeps you real, because you're like, oh shit, that bullshit that I've been doing to these guys, or that shit don't work. Like, you know, there's certain moves that works for other people in competition, but for me, I don't do it. But, you know, you practice
100%,
it. Yeah,
100%. That's the biggest difference between being like a hobbyist, or it's like, oh, now Nate's fighting professionally. Like Dan said, you know, now it's go time. Like, there's more urgency if it's like, okay, we have 4 weeks. What is the order of operations? Like the PEMDAS, like what should we do now and why? Like watching data, you know, like every fight you're going to get data. I'm going to see Nate training in the same way Dan's going to look at him hitting pads and sparring and use that data for the next class. Like, I'm going to watch Nate roll. Like, we're going to roll together. We're going to watch the last fight, see things we could sharpen up. But there's such a difference between like sport jiu-jitsu and jiu-jitsu, you know? Like jiu-jitsu, like they would train it with slaps. Like combat jiu-jitsu just is what jiu-jitsu was to the Gracies. That was Gracie jiu-jitsu. But now it's a sport like derivative that like a lot of stuff gets lost in the process.
Yeah, for sure. You lose the essence of what it was. When
The
you
essence,
put
exactly.
When you put money behind it, business, and with the number one drug is like fame. You know, put fame. You know, that's why I don't like Instagram jiu-jitsu. Tran knows, I say it all the time. I think that shit's whack. I think posting that flashy shit is whack. Like, personally, to me, like I could care less about all that flashy move, because I'm like, bro, I never see you hit that. Like, work on your fundamentals. Like, you're doing all this flashy, like, crazy takedown, but you can't even do an ankle pick. Like, I don't care about that. Then, like, you know what I mean? So
I think one of the big things about the two of them and working with the two of them is that it's forced me to go back and learn the foundations, because one thing that I didn't realize with with working with the two of them on the ground and standing up was how much of my athleticism that I relied on. It started to really occur to me with Dan that I was using my speed, and I was using like funkier head movement, but it wasn't like there was no fundamental like footwork base. There was no base behind it. And a lot of the issues that other coaches had with me saying, okay, well, you're doing this wrong, it was never broken down to me to a fundamental of like, dude, like Dan always says, be in a good position and you'll be able to defend and attack properly the whole time. And, you know, going back and thinking about what my old wrestling coach would talk about with fundamentals and always talking about positioning, posture, like trying to get your opponent out of position was really important. And I think by going back, learning true fundamentals on the ground with Alex and standing up with Dan has made me 10 times the fighter. And I think that is going to be the significant difference in the next couple of years, because I feel like my confidence has gotten significantly higher because I understand where I need to be at all times. And by understanding that, it's like it's the competence. Like if I'm competent, then I'm going to be confident. I know what I need to do. I know, like he's taught me how to shut people down. And Dan has taught me how to shut people down in different ways that I had never been taught before, like how to take away weapons from people, how to take away, like how to create real angles, like real dangerous angles and different footwork patterns and blocking and guards, like things I never learned. Like you learn like basic, slip, dip, roll, that kind of shit. But like now he's taking this to a completely different level, and like how to use my arms in a different way to block, how to use my hands, get them more involved. Like for years, coaches, like if you've seen me fight, my hands are generally pretty low. Coaches would always say, keep your hands up, keep your hands up, keep your hands up. The problem with that was like, I was like, well, people don't really hit me, so why would I keep my hands up? Whereas with Dan, it's like there's an application for keeping my hands up. It's like, well, what are you doing with your hands? Because I can have like a high guard where my hands cover my eyebrows and I like walk forward. But the problem with that is like, it's just not, in my opinion, it was never like, I see guys do that and I would just destroy them. I'm like, this isn't effective. I mean, and obviously it works for certain people, but what he's showing me how to do is how to use a proper parry, how to use a shield block, how to use my forearms, my elbows, my hands, my palms to shut people down and stop these strikes coming at me. So I can rely on my feet to get me out of the way, but then I have that secondary base fundamental defense. So now it's like, I think especially as like, we've only been working together for a year, and I truly think that like mastering those fundamentals of defense, it's like I'm already hard to hit. So as we progress through these guards and understanding position much better, it's like now you're going to have a real problem hitting me. Like, and it's just made me more confident in knowing like I don't have to rely on like my speed now. Like I can take my time, be more patient, and I can like navigate the fight as it progresses, knowing that I'm safe and not having to be like, oh fuck, am I safe? Like get that anxiety, like, oh, I don't know where to go. Because a lot of fights I've had in the past, I'd be like, I don't know what to do, because I have so many weapons and not enough direction with the weapons. Like how do you set the weapon up? How do you get to this point? Like if I see it, I can do it. But that now it's like, now I can force the action in the position. And it's the same thing with jiu-jitsu with Alex. By going back and working with him on the ground, he taught me that he asked questions that I had never been asked before about like, well, what happens when you take, like something simple is like, what happens when you take the guy down? Where do you go? And I was like, oh, fuck, I don't know.
I just see red blank out, bro.
Yeah.
If I take him down, I just see red. I don't
You don't even know his mentality. Yeah. But yeah, like he's saying, so like any coach, you're going to get students asking why, like why or what if. And the thing is with Dan, he can logically explain why you're doing what in a way that it's like, I can ask like what if or just one why. And the first thing he says, I'll be like, oh, that makes so much sense, And it's like, there's a lot of snake oil salesmen out there who want to be like, hey, this is my thing. Only I can teach this. And then you ask why and they get like, they get defensive or just, like just do the move. But like if you ask your coach questions and they can't answer them, it's usually not a good sign of a coach,
No, for sure.
That's what we were talking about, right? Like, like coaches be teaching technique and telling you put your hands here, right? And you're like, well, why?
Yeah.
So when it comes to fundamental things like that, like for you to understand why your hands are there or why your feet are there, that comes a long ways.
Yeah, 100%. And to piggyback what you're saying, you said you had all those weapons, but you had nowhere to, like, you didn't know what to do. There was a saying I heard. My buddy was telling me a story how he got somebody in a gi choke. He was doing a templating guy was put on the gi, and he went to do a gi choke, and the guy he was doing it to, he was like, man, you got a loaded gun right now. You don't even know how to shoot it. And like that's the perfect saying. Like you got a loaded gun, you don't even know.
Like that.
Yeah, you don't even know where to shoot, bro. You don't even know how to shoot it, and that's like 100%. I went on a big rampage on sometimes like when I coach, I'm a competitor and I put a lot into coaching. Like it's a difference between just training and coaching. And I care, I think about it, I plan all that stuff. And I teach super basic fundamentals, or I consider them fundamentals, but I had like 4 guys on my Thursday fundamental, and I like smaller classes because I like positive reinforcement. I want to see you do it. And if you don't do it, can you do that again for me? Can you do it again for me? And I was just teaching over-unders to pump in. And they're like messing it up and they're going too fast or they're being super strong. And I was like, guys, sit down. Listen, guys, all right? There's levels to training. There's levels to drilling, okay? First, I show you the technique and I explain to you the technique. Then you have to drill it. No resistance, no force. I give you this, we go. Now, the slower you do it, the smoother you do it, the faster you do it. Then once you get competent in doing it faster, you can start putting resistance. Once you start putting resistance, then you can talk to your partner, hey, let's amp it up, let's amp it up. Then after you do that, you teach it and you tell it to somebody. Explain to me why you're doing this. I like to take my students and put them in the middle of the mat and be like, show me the technique I just showed and tell me why. Why are you grabbing that? Why are you doing that? Tell me why. I don't care about, I just do this to do this. No. Tell me why. You're grabbing right there in the arm instead of there in the arm. Okay? Then once you do that and you're competent and you can understand the technique, I need you to visualize, think about the technique, drill it. Then you go live. Then you do it in a row. That's the level of learning the technique. It's not just, and then doing it, obviously doing it in competition or if you want to compete, but it's not, you just go 1,000% when I show you something like, oh, this is simple. Oh, this is simple. Okay, well, I'm going to give 1 minute. 1 minute. We're going to go live for this one simple technique and let me see you really do it. And then they can't do it. I said, I thought it was simple. I thought it was so easy. You know what I mean? And that's what a lot of people get lost at. You do a 1-2 and this is boring. Well, you can't even land it. You don't even know how to land it. Or you're not even land it. You don't even know how to set it up. Or you don't even have footwork. They call boxing the sweet science because of your footwork, It's that little thing it's like, hey, bro, you have to make sure that your right foot, if I'm southpaw, right? Yeah. My right foot is always on the outside of your foot, right? Or something like that, right? You don't
always need to.
General consensus.
Yeah, general consensus. But I'm only using this because I'm not a striker, but I want to use this because you don't realize that when you're fighting, you don't always do that. Something as simple as that is like, oh, but I thought the 1-2 was easy. But how come you're not putting your hands up? Oh, you're not parrying. Oh, you're not feinting. You're not doing any of that stuff. I thought it was simple. Oh, but it's just boring. It's not about being, flashy or not being boring. It's just you have to know the basic before you can do crazy 12-hit combos. When people I see new people throwing 12-hit and they're moving. I'm like, why is he moving that way? Can you explain to me what's the purpose of moving that way? What's the purpose of doing that? You're not even going to hit a 13-hit combo, bro. The hell, this isn't a video game, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of coaches and a lot of people get caught up in training the what or teaching the what, and they focus on the what. But there's a when, why, where, how. You know what I mean? And a lot of people don't even go into those depths. Even with your jab, people teach the jab and they teach a power jab. So it's you have a guy, every time he tells you to jab, he wants you to step in, hit a power jab on the mitts. You're training your guy to always work off his jab as a clean power jab to the face. So now what happens when you drop a guy, into a live situation? If he can't get that, you tell him, work off your jab, work behind your jab. Well, if he never hits a clean power jab to the face, he's never going to get going. And that happened in Adesanya Costa. Paulo Costa, it looks like the main way he knows how to find his range is with a double jab. He couldn't touch Izzy with the double jab, so he didn't get going at all. You know what I mean? And if that's all you have is the what, you're just going to throw different whats at the problem until hopefully something sticks. You know what I mean? But you need to know why you're doing something, when you're going to do it, and then how. You know what I mean? Because there's different ways you can do the same thing. My jab isn't always going to be a straight power jab. It might be a pawing jab. It might be, a jab and stick into a post, It might be a quick double jab. There's more levels to it.
Absolutely. Can you break down to me, Dan, you said your system, right? So when working with Nate or say even, I don't know if you work with newer people. I know you guys coach, but your gym is private. So say you got a guy that comes in, has some striking experience. What do you look for? What do you break down the core essence? For me, my first thing, I don't care who you are, is hand fighting. We're hand fighting all the time. It's such an underlooked thing that we're doing it all my classes. I don't care if you're a purple, but we're hand fighting. You're hand fighting for 5 to 10 minutes, and I'd be like, don't you look at that clock, because that clock is not the clock. I'm the clock, all right? I'll pause that bitch. I could be a little tough, but I'm like, hey, I love you. This will make you better. This is the Tran style of coaching me. That's how he used to coach me. He used to maybe go against God, I used to get my ass beaten rounds. He'd be like, yeah, go back with him. Go with him again. I don't want to go with him. I can't do shit. He's like, yeah, I don't care. I want to hear. So when you work with a guy, when you break it down, like, how do you break it down? Like, your striking, like your system, your style. What do you look for?
Well, like, I don't always take the same approach with every person that I've trained with, because like some people have different goals. You know what I mean? Some people that I'll train with, like, they're interested in Muay Thai, so they want to focus on Muay Thai. Some people, I just want to do some boxing. You know, some people are training MMA. And like a lot of times with like the people who do Thai, if it's one-on-one, like I'll do mitts and I'll do freestyle, and it's like I'm gonna focus, like somebody who's completely green who doesn't have like striking. It's going to be stance first, you know, footwork, and then probably, you know, jab. Basic defense is like going to be your start, and like that's about it. Maybe a couple strikes, you know, just to get started, but and then I'll feel them out from there, you know. As far as like Nate goes, like because he's a competitor and he has experience, he has weapons and tools. It's like that's where our focus is more on systemizing things to make sure we have a when, where, why. That way he doesn't have to think about. You know, it's not, what techniques do I throw? What combos do I throw? Do I throw this combo or that combo? It's like, no, I have a system to bring this guy into. So everybody's a little bit different, you know, but like the fundamentals are key. So it's like, I'm not going to have somebody throwing a 12-punch combo if the person can't move around and throw a jab. You know, because what good is that combo going to do you? It's not going to do you any good. You're going to plant and try to throw it, and somebody's just going to move away and then come back and hit you when you're done.
I mean, I'll get like 100 likes on Instagram. What you mean? I'll get a couple. I'll do a 13 hit, get a couple followers. Nah, that's pretty whack. But yeah, no, yeah. So yeah, fundamental, and then how? So you know what's that word? Like, you know, people say fighters lay traps, right? And to the layman person, right? They don't understand. Like, they're like, traps? What is, like, when Israel Adesanya's talking, it's like, I'm laying traps for him.
Yeah.
How big is that? Like, can you explain that to people who are like thinking about getting into like trying to understand what that means? Because like you said, you have all these weapons, right? Now you need to lay traps for these weapons. Like,
well, yeah, there's a lot of different ways like you can set up traps, you know, like the simplest way is like showing somebody, you know, one thing and then doing another. So it's like you can jab, kick low, jab, kick high, you know, like that can be a setup. Like your feints could be traps. Like there's a lot of ways. Those are basically setups. Like if somebody's saying a trap, they're setting you up for something, you know, and there's endless possibilities of ways you can set people up. Like you said, you can feint and get them to bite on a feint. You can throw a strike to set them up to run into another strike. You can position yourself in a way to make them adjust to run into strikes. You can just position yourself in a way, if you're training your footwork and your fundamentals and your posture and your positions, you can position yourself to where you can hit them and they can't hit you. So even when they try to defend, it's still the wrong move, even if it's technically the proper defense. And like, I think, there's a Kobe Bryant quote where he was saying to be unstoppable, you have to first be predictable. And like, he was saying like in most situations he had two moves, and it was like drop one way and shoot, drop back and fade away. And like, that's his like go-tos, but he's saying he would show somebody the same thing over and over again and then just change that one move. And I think that's like the simplest way to start thinking about that mentality, you know, but there's endless ways to set somebody up for traps. You know, it's like there's a lot of ties, like the guys that are good at sweeps. They'll throw a body kick at you to get you to body kick back, and then they'll kick your post leg out. You know, that's setting a trap, and it doesn't look like it. It looks like the guy's just throwing a kick at you, you know?
I love breaking down fighting. I really do. I love like grappling, fighting, all that stuff, because it's barbaric in nature. You know, you're knocking somebody out, you're kicking them. But like when you really like watch it, you really break tape down, you really study it. There's so much that goes into it, you know, so much simple nuances like footwork, feinting, hand positioning, all that stuff that's like, people don't understand that when they see it. They just watch it like, oh, this is human cockfighting, these two guys. You know, like the dumb jock in high school. I mean, they might be dumb in certain subjects, but when you really think about what they're doing, like say a football jock, right? All football is war. It's taking your army and moving it into their territory. You know, their system, styles, all that stuff that come into it. When you really break it down, man, there's playbooks. Like, you have to learn a language for football. But people think, oh, man, football, they're jocks. It's kind of hard, man. I mean, certain positions are easier than others where you, like, you know, you're a linebacker, not linebacker, like a DB. Yeah, you just got to get the quarterback, right? But there's moves, there's techniques and stuff. So when it comes to, like, fighting, the same thing. Like, I think just fighting in general has, like, a bad stigma because a lot of guys are not coaches. You know,
it's the tip of the iceberg, you know, and something that Nate touched on that Dan does so well is that he kind of gets the story of the fight, where when I watch fighting or jiu-jitsu, it's like I want to see the finish and then move on because of my ADHD. But Dan really understands the full picture, you know? Like when I started learning, I feel like I learned a bunch of isolated moves and then you have to kind of connect them yourself, you know? But you know, Dan will kind of give you like a cluster of moves. And that's, you know, it's like you just need to get to where you're comfortable, you know? Like laying a trap for like Craig Jones could be like laying on your side and baiting a knee cut, giving them a pretty good move, but a predictable response, and getting them, or just like getting them to a place you're comfortable, you know? That's something like Tim was big on, is just have a main path. And I didn't really think about it that way. It's like, okay, there's all these, you know, random moves, like Nate's saying. There's a lot of choice anxiety with like, what do I do when and how? You know, and it's like, but once you get a main path or cluster techniques, or just even the way Dan breaks down Paulo Costa for style bender, like I would never see that. Like I'm like, yeah, punch, punch, kick, you know, it's like, yeah. But like the double jab. And then once you see it, you can't really unsee it, you know, now it's like, oh, and then you look back at all of Paulo Costa's other fights and it's like, oh, you can see how Dan got to this conclusion, you know?
How big are you on breaking tape? Like, obviously you are, but like, can you explain to me? Breaking huge.
Yeah, I've probably watched
at work.
I've probably watched in like the thousands of fights. I love most arts. Like I watch Kyokushin videos. I watch Muay Thai videos. I watch boxing, jiu-jitsu, grappling, judo, you know, and sumo wrestling, like Mongolian Bach wrestling. Like I watch it all. And like when I watch a fight, like early on when I was watching fights, it's just like watching one guy, you know, the guy that I want him to win. And like you have a bias towards that really when you watch. You're like, oh, he didn't eat that shot, or like he got that shot, you know? And then like when you really, for me, like the way I like to watch a fight, I'll watch it multiple times. And it's like I'll go through one view and I'll focus on one fighter and I'll mostly focus on their footwork and movement. And like that's it. And like the positions they put themselves in. I don't worry about the strikes or the defense or anything like that. I'll worry about the position and the footwork. I'll go through and then I'll watch it now, like with him engaging and disengaging with defense and offense. And then I'll go back and watch it from the other guy's perspective the same way. Then I'll watch the fight as a whole. And I mean, I've watched, you know, certain fights over and over and over again to study them and see how it goes. But like that's film evidence of like a lot of techniques you're trying to train. Like you can see techniques that you're training and that, or like that you can train. And you can see them being applied. And I think that really gives you like, it's reinforcement to go, okay, that works. And that works at the highest level, you know? I think anybody great, like really studied a lot of tape and not just like their opponents, you know what I mean? Cause I don't always think like, especially on the regional scene or like local, you know, there's not a lot of footage on guys, and guys can get better in between, you know, tape. It's like a lot of guys are up and coming. They're still training. So like you can't always bet on what you see, but like just studying fights in general and seeing how guys move, how guys apply footwork, position, pressure, techniques, you know, feints, actual offensive techniques, how guys defend. I think that's huge, and it really reinforces in your mind. You know, like if you're just training and you're trying out techniques and then you come in the gym and you're trying them, or you're training, you're going home and watching guys use them and then coming back, the guy who's watching more tape will do better. Yeah. You know, like I said, it's a mental reinforcement for what you're doing, and it helps give you the why, the when, the how I'm going to do this, you know, on top of somebody just telling you, oh, just do this, you know. That's
what Tran was big on. Like when I was a white belt, I never watched. I was like, I train too much. I don't want to watch jiu-jitsu. I want to watch other things. Tran's like, what? You don't study tape? You don't watch instructionals? And I was like, nah. He's like, are you stupid? We have a relationship. Are you stupid? You dumb? You need to watch tape, bro. Like, and then when I started watching, I was like, oh. So now when I see people roll, I'll be like, oh, I know what he's setting up for. Oh, I know. Okay, I see what his counter is. Oh, I see what he's moving. You know, you get so like sometimes tunnel vision. Like even now, like when I roll with Tran, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna practice my De La Hiva, and then he does something, and I'm still trying to get it. I'm like, why is this not working? He's like, bruh, I'm like my body position is not going to work. You need to do something else. But you get like so tunnel vision, like, no, I'm going to make this work. I want to get better at it, right?
Yeah, people get attached, you know, to moves, and it's like it's tough to know when to cut your loss and just be like, oh, this is not, you know, an inversion. Now this is a back take.
That's when you start like getting up the levels, right? You start like realizing like, oh shit, I got to bail. All right, I got to bail. You know,
it's like when you learn to like read English, like you can't really look at words and not understand them. Like I can't look at that thing and just not, you know, get it. But like once you see like, okay, Paulo Costa does this, now it's like, oh, you know, you can't unsee what you see in tape, and you see it in rolling, and it's like you watch people roll, it's like, oh, that's that. It's like that's that little micro battle, or that's like that's what determines whether it's, you know, this move or that move.
Everybody has a language and everybody has a pattern. I had a professor in college, and he used to tell me he could tell who wrote your paper. He reads it like you're talking. So if he reads enough of your paper, he can know if you copied it for somebody else, because he's like, you don't talk like this. This isn't you writing this. You never write sentences like this. It's the same thing when you roll. It's the same thing when you do anything. It's like patterns. So when you like see the words, you're like, you wouldn't say that. You know what I mean? And that's when you have to start like breaking stuff down and really getting like in the nitty gritty. Like when I watch Lewis roll, I know what Lewis is going to do. You know what I mean? I know his patterns. Like, yeah, you know what I mean? I know where his go-to and what he's going to go for. Don't mean I can't stop it, but
those
you know.
are the best moves, you know? Like you got to be predictable first. Like he's saying, like the best moves are the ones that you can't stop. And
that's
like,
what Josh Inger said. Josh Inger's
like,
got a guillotine. Everybody knows Josh Inger got guillotine.
Yeah.
He's still
main
shoots.
path. You know, that's his main path. All he needs to do is get you there. All Craig needs to do is get to the Z-guard, and he's put a lot of time into there. Like, if you're in the 50-50 with Ryan Hall, it's like objectively a mirror position, but, you know.
Not for him. What?
Yeah, right?
Yeah,
and it's like, it doesn't mean you should engage in 50-50s, but just know that, like, you know, it's a mirror position, but if you put a lot more time into it, like, that's your niche, you know?
Yeah, you want people to know what you can do and still can't stop you.
Yeah,
you know,
Craig.
you don't want to be, you don't want to, oh, they never seen that move, so they don't know. You know what I mean? Like, for me as a competitor, cool, a win's a win, but it's like, hey, they know what okay, here.
Yeah,
and
Craig
then you still
recently-
win? Come on, man. Like, there's nothing better, right? There's like Nate, we know you could kick. You still kick it, dude. So they're not making the adjustment. They're not breaking tape down. They're not learning. They're just doing this is why. Do that. Do that. Okay. Do that. Well, why? Oh, no, don't question me. That's dumb, man. Like, if you can't do that, you know what I mean? Because this could be a simple, like, do that. Why? Because if you did okay. Oh, you know, it was that makes sense, right? It's a language. I didn't know that. I didn't know that word. I didn't know that phrase. Now I do. Okay, cool. Makes sense, right? It's not bad to question people, especially when you're investing so much. You're investing your health. You're investing your time.
You're selling it.
Yeah, how much you're making, the money you make, all this stuff into these people that you should have complete trust and chemistry with. And that's what really matters. And, like, that's great that you guys have your, you know, especially you guys been training for, you and Alex have been training for.
On and off.
On and off for many, many years, yeah. But, like, you know,
'Cause I've
this
been-
all really came together recently. Like, it really did, where we, like, dialed in, you know?
What was the, what would you guys think is the flip? Like, what was the switch? Like, for like, you guys trained so long. Like, so I started, after my first tournament, me and Tran became tight, right? And never stopped, you know? But, like, what, like, the flip for, like, hey, we should really do a school together. You know what I mean? Like, we should really, like, from being, like, training partners, hobbyists, you know, to, like, for you's career, to being like, hey, I want you in my corner when I come out to fight. That's a big thing to ask for people, you know? And that's a lot. That's a commitment, right?
Yeah.
What do you think was, like, for you guys?
It's got to be at Cumbies, right?
For Alex, specifically Alex and I, or for the three of us.
Yeah.
Like I said, I had been training with Dan in November, and I was training with Alex during COVID, and then he left for Texas and California and was gone for a while, in Colorado, sorry.
Who, Dan or Alex?
Alex was gone. And so when he came back, when Alex came back, we started training again, and got called for Bellator to fight against Cody Law. And my head coach at the time from FAA was like, who do you want in your corner? And this was something that I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. Did I want my teammates from FAA? I hadn't brought Dan into FAA yet. Alex said, and I don't think I'd brought you into FAA either. You'd never come in, I don't think. But like, I'd been training with them on the side, you know. So, and I was learning a ton from both of them. And I was like, when he asked me, it was like, well, who do you want in your corner? Well, I was like, well, he's like, what he said to me was, you want people that make you feel confident to be in your corner. He's like, even if it's somebody that, you know, maybe they aren't the best, but they bring that presence that just makes you feel confident. And I was like, I knew right off the bat who I wanted. It was Dan and Alex, because just from the stuff they were teaching me, I was applying it in training against like sparring partners. And I was like, I know this stuff works. And I was like, I just feel comfortable around them. And during the Bellator week, we had to quarantine for a week, and they roomed together. I was by myself for a few days, and just like you said, I started to see the chemistry in the three of us, and just like the passion and the love for the sport, and the different, just the collaboration of minds. You know what I mean? It's like, I just felt like it was a great week. Everything leading up to the fight, everything was going phenomenal. And it was just like, man, this feels right. And after the Bellator fight, you know, obviously I lost, and it was eye-opening in certain ways. And I just felt like it was time, you know, like I'm 28 now, and just at like the beginning of my career. And I felt like there were adjustments that needed to be made, and things that we had trained leading up to the fight that just didn't I just didn't apply them properly, and I felt like I just needed to put more time working with them at this particular point in my life, and they have helped me to, like I said, to see things. Like he said, you can't unsee certain things, and now I'm starting to see things I never seen before. Things about myself that I didn't know, and how important it is to have like people around you and in your corner that you can relate to, you can communicate properly with, and I just felt like I built like a great friendship with these guys, and that at that point, I mean, we had kind of talked about it while we were at Bellator. Like, imagine if we just like opened our own gym. It was kind of like, I don't know if we were like serious at the time, but we talked about it. We're like, oh, we should just open our own gym and like start training, and like, cause I was training in the basement, in my parents' basement. We had a place set up, and I'd go to the garage a couple times and train with Dan and his guys, and Alex would come over to either Enfield or come to my parents' basement, and we would train there. So it was like we were already pretty much running training out of that, and I was doing like 2-3 sessions a day, and it just got to a point where it made more sense to, you know, I think people like they get caught up in like, you hear, like I remember growing up, like when I started this training and hearing guys in the UFC at Jackson, oh, I train 3 times a day, and it's like that, it's just not sustainable. Like, unless you're on some fucking PEDs, like I'm not on PEDs, so I like physically would burn out, like through fight camps, through training. I just burn out because I'm like going. And it's like, I have a hard time shutting it off. That's my problem. I can't, I have a hard time not training. So basically it just made more sense to like condense training. I think Gordon Ryan talks about this with Dan, when he started training with Danaher. He was training at a bunch of different, I think he was training with Tom DeBlas, and he was training somewhere else in Jersey, I think, and then he would go to start training with John, and then he said he started to get better as he started to train shorter periods of time but more focused training, and that's what we did. And now, as I've seen in my fights, because I can feel when I was fighting before in the previous years, like even when I started, when I was in West Virginia, when I was training with John, when I was training at FAA, just I was good, but I felt like there was something that was missing, and I feel like maybe I just needed to like have more focused on like what needed to be done and what I was missing. And so now we started to apply that, and it's like it's made a significant difference. Like I feel it in my fights. Like I can feel that the anxiety, like I said, like I was able to, even with that anxiety, it was just like gone. Just let's go do this, you know what I mean? And I felt like sorry, I just lost my train of thought there.
Let me take this. So from my perspective, yeah, I met Nate at Team Link when I was young, and then, stopped training, came back with Tim, started going to John's. And so he was just one of the people that you'd want to roll with there because he was good, And so after a while, we started training more and more. And then, we would kind of get these, like, it's like, okay, you have an hour in the morning. Okay, wake up, drive to Enfield, train for 30, 45 minutes, very focused, because we didn't have a lot of time. It wasn't like we had 2 hours to hang out and talk and chill, which we would do and talk about jiu-jitsu all the same, but it was a focus, it was a focused training session. And so there was a point where, and this happens to a lot of coaches and students, like eventually, like Nate was catching me with the stuff that I was teaching him. So it's like, I was like, okay, I've done my job. It wasn't like I was his coach. It was like, this is where I'm at with this. These are my notes, these are my case files. Like, so eventually I was like, yeah, I'm going to go to Colorado. I'm not really enjoying what's happening here. So I'm going to leave for a bit and come back, clear my head kind of thing. And Nate was like, I know you need to do this, but I'm sad. And I was like, I feel like, not that I have like, I feel like I don't have a ton more to teach you. And Nate was like, that's not really the way it works. It's mostly the approach, It's not like any one technique. It's just the approach and the compatibility, that works out for us. And then, so eventually, like before I know it, I'm just in Mohegan Sun with Dan in like a Bellator event. And it's like, I don't even know how we got here. And then, I didn't really I talked to Dan a couple times, I think, at Nick Newell's gym. And he explained to me why boxing was called boxing. And it blew my mind. You can explain that, Dan?
Yeah. I don't know how true that is, but it's
I choose to believe it's true. Let's assume
Jason,
it's true.
I'm with it. I'm with it.
There was
That's true. Let's go on.
Jason Perillo video. He was talking about it, and he said, I hold my hands up. I got a box in front of me. You hold your hands up. You got a box in front of you. I try to put my strikes in your box. You try to put your strikes in my box. That's why it's called boxing.
I choose to believe that's true.
It makes sense to me.
I choose to believe it.
I trust Dan. And that's the thing is like people, so not unlike Dan, I was always just kind of the biggest nerd with martial arts. And, it's a very human thing to want to know how to defend yourself. So, like, it's me and my boys, and we'll just skip class and go to, like, the rec room and, like, wrestle around and, like, backyard wrestling, WWE days with trampolines. And then it's like, okay, someone's got to step up, Someone's got to start teaching people. And then it's like, so I was also teaching people, like, striking, which, I don't see myself as a striker. Like, I love martial arts, but I've put a lot of time into grappling. And it's like, now people will, like, ask me questions and I'll just be like, just talk to Dan. Or people will ask me like, hey, like what's good with like Muay Thai? And I'm like, I don't even want, like, just talk to Dan for literally 3 minutes. And it's like, I get like annoyed, honestly. And they keep asking me questions like, how do I throw a jab? I'm like, just literally come to my gym and talk to Dan. Like, I don't have time for this.
What about you, Dan? What you got? What about you? Like when did it like all for you like come together like as a team where you're like, oh, and then you open a gym, make that investment?
Yeah. I mean, like, as far as training, like, when Nate and I started training, like, it seemed to be going really well. So I was like, well, I want to keep training, keep this going. And then he asked me, to corner for Bellator. And after that, he's like, yeah, I just want to keep working with you guys. So, he decided that he was going to move gyms anyway. And, he's like, instead of maybe going somewhere, we should just try to train, on our own. And I thought that was a great idea as well. Like, I thought all three of us, like, I figured with everything around, like, there's enough resources to get the training that we need. It's just a matter of putting in the work and actually doing it. Like, yeah, it may not be as easy. Like, some guys want to show up somewhere and have somebody tell them, like, hey, you're doing this. This is what you're doing for striking. This is what you're doing for grappling. This is what you're doing for strength and conditioning. And then some guys, like, honestly, like, they will develop better if you put some of the decision-making on them. Like, it's a different approach because not everybody's the same kind of, person. Not everybody grows and adapts the same way. But yeah, like, when he said he wanted to continue training, I was like, yeah, I'm good with that. And I think like the gym came about mostly just out of our necessity to train and focus on our training and not worrying about going somewhere else and whether they're going to, want to have him do stuff that contradicts what we're working, or whatever.
Yeah, I get it. That's why, I say it all the time to Tran. I'm like, yo, to me, because of our relationship, I always consider him my coach. Like, I always like, now I'm getting ready for a competition coming up in December. It's a big deal. And I'm like, yo, Tran, I need somebody to push me because I can't sometimes objectively look at what I need to work on. Like, I know what I need to work on, but I need somebody. I like having somebody. That's just like, not to the extent of fighting, because I've never been in a professional fight, but I get really anxious when it comes to training. And I'm not training, when it comes to competition. Like, I don't really like competing as much, but I love it. Like, I hate it, but I love it. And for me, I get confidence in my training. My training is what makes me confident. And so, like, with Tran, I tell him, I'm like, bro, I would never, like, I don't care if a black belt comes in and blah, blah, this and that. I'm like, you're my guy. Like, we have chemistry. Like, I'm a loyal dude. I'm loyal. Like, if I rock with you, we rock together. Like, you know what I mean? Win, lose, whatever. Like, so I tell him, like, hey, I need you, like, Saturday? I was like, we need to start pushing the cardio. I need you to push me and be like, hey, you're doing this. I just want to do it. Like, I don't want to think about what I'm having to do, because that's what works for me. I like somebody to be like, hey, we're going to work on this and that. When there's, like, no, like, off season, then I'll be like, oh, I'm going to work on my guard retention for, like, 6 months, because I have that Farasa hobbies mentality of, like, it takes 6 months to develop new patterns. So, like,
Absolutely.
I don't believe in, like, oh my God, we've been doing one move for like a month. That's it. You're going to be, like, if I'm going to reinvent myself, I have to take a long time and develop new patterns. And when you really, like, start thinking about it, like, I wish I could train 3 times a day, but dude, 2 times a day, even doing just jiu-jitsu, man, that stuff is hard. You do that. I understand why guys take steroids and PDs. Everyone thinks it's to get stronger and bigger. Dude, it's for recovery, man. You take that, man, it helps your body out a lot. And most of those guys that are training 2-3 times a day, dude, they're juicing. Like, it is what, I'm sorry, guys. It is what it is.
It's unsustainable.
It's crazy.
Like,
it's crazy.
That's like I said, like, for years I've been doing this, and I would have, like, back injuries and joint injuries and pulled muscles, and I can't even get out of fucking bed, man. And I was younger then. Like, I feel better now than I did when I was, like, 25, 26, even 24, 25, 26, because I was putting so much wear and tear on my body with, like, the live goes, the fucking drilling, the pads, the fucking wrestling, the, like, everything.
Yeah, so more is more to some people, right? Like, I'm like, more is more everything. And there's like, You gotta let your body doesn't get stronger in doing the workout. It gets stronger in the recovery.
Right.
It has to heal, and then it gets bigger and stronger. But you're like, more is more. He's doing it. I need to do it. I know that guy is doing 2 times a day. I'm gonna do 3 times a day, right? And that's what, like, good coaching is really, really important. It's like, even though everybody wants to be a coach, and I'm doing parentheses for you guys can't see me, but I'm doing parentheses. But like, it's, first of all, coaching is not easy.
No,
at all.
not.
I tell people the most, like, really nerve wracking is watching your guys go out there. You know what I mean? Like, that shit is tough, and you have to invest a lot of time. Like, I don't like those coaches that just make up training. Like, they just like, we're gonna do this today.
Right.
Like, dude, but we did like the opposite last week. Why are we doing this? Like, I didn't know what I want to do today. I just came in and was like, fuck it, bullshit. Let's bullshit it. And I'm like, I don't want to bullshit it. Like, you know what I mean? Because I can get better way faster in a short amount of time.
Right.
By cutting out the fluff. Like, you know what I mean? Don't show me that flashy move. In time, I'll be able to do it, but like, let's cut out the fluff, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know. What do you think, Tran?
Yeah, that's when I get aggravated too. When some people like will roll with me and they're like, "Oh, dude, how long you been doing it?" And then like next day they'll ask me, they'll pull up like a YouTube video of like I don't know, like a flying armbar, for example, and they're like fresh off the street, just second day of jiu-jitsu, and they're asking me to do it. I'm like, that's cool and all, but you know, you gotta do the fundamentals too, and that comes a long ways, I think. You know,
we all have that one guy that comes to the gym and just starts doing like crazy moves or warming. Like, can I practice on you? Can I practice on you? And I'm like, bro, you don't even know how to get out of side control. Like, and you've been training like 2 years. Like,
That's me. But it's funny. The first time I met Tran was actually at the other spot in Springfield, like your first spot or Pat's first spot, right? And I was like, I have terrible guillotine defense. And then I see this guy, I think you had like a Marcelo rash guard, and I was like, I want to go with this guy. And then got guillotined in about 3 seconds. I was like, I knew I had terrible guillotine defense.
yeah, he's a Marcelo Garcia purple belt. You know, he's got to have, he's a trans OG, baby. Trans OG, yeah, man. He don't talk, I talk for him. I'm his advocate. I'm like Paul Heyman in this bitch, bro. I walk in, I'm like, yo, this guy right
You're
here.
his hype man. You're his hype man.
What
Yeah,
hype
you have
man?
cloak and
No,
dagger,
I'm his worst enemy. I'm like, yo, $50 to anybody that sleeps him. $50 back.
dude, it's so true. So fucking true, man.
$50 cash. I'm like, I got it on me.
Oh,
I got it on me.
I hate it when he does that.
You flexing money on you?
I'm like, I got it on me, bro. If you put him to sleep, don't respect this tap.
Don't respect it. I would have gone to sleep. But back to the steroids thing. Like, I like what Danaher says, where it's like there's no such thing as overtraining. It's really just under resting.
Yeah.
It's
Sleep,
so true,
man.
you know? It's so true. Like sleep, good diet, you know? Like
Yeah.
people don't want to like people are obsessed with finding like a that was easy button, whether it's a coach, it's like, all right, I'm going to come here and be a robot and then you're going to make me Gordon Ryan. And it's like, no, well, that's not the way it works. Like people want a that was easy button, you know?
For sure. I mean, and I think it's a lot of things is like validation as well. So if you could suck at everything, but if you could put like a 10-second clip of you doing a fucking flashy move, hell
like that
yeah,
shit.
man, hell yeah,
Fucking white belts, man.
hell yeah, we putting that shit in your story, like yeah. I'm like, dude, you gotta you gotta work your way up to that, and that's coming from a guy that like I hit an Imanari roll in one of my matches. I hit an Imanari roll to a knee bar finish against a purple belt when I was a blue belt, and I was telling people I was gonna do it. So like I do the flashy shit, like I'll do it. I tried to do it against a small guy. We had the quintet, and the dude was like small, and I tried to Imanari roll him, and he flattened me out and took my back. So I posted my good Imanari with my bad one. I was like, what I think is going to look like to what it actually looks like. That little motherfucker, I ended up getting out, but like, I was like, damn, he got my back. That did not work out at all. But yeah, they just want like validation, like, you know what I mean? And I get it, you know, I get it, because these combat sports, man, it sucks. Like, confidence is big. Like, confidence is everything, and you get beat up a lot, like a lot. And so you want to feel like you're good. You want to feel like you know something. But guys, that takes time. You know, you're not going to be at the main event, you know, your first year in. I wish, but it doesn't work that, you know. I try to tell people like losing weight because like I fluctuate. I get big, I get small. And I told them like, they're like, oh, I'm going to lose like 20 pounds in a month. And I'm like, okay, well, how long did it take you to gain that weight? Oh, you know, it's going to take you the same amount of time to lose it. What? It's the same thing, bro. You know what I mean? Calories in, calories out. You got to take your time. You know what I mean? You got to enjoy the journey, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If not, it takes a little more to lose weight than it is to gain.
Absolutely, bro. And it's like a lot of mental. So like that's why like what you guys have is great, because when you get that chemistry, it's everything. Especially when you're fighting, like you said, you were nervous. You're thinking you're gonna get, you know, fucked up, but then you're like, bro, back to my training. Man, back to my training. You're like, you know, we train for this, man. Yeah. We train to beat people on our good days, our bad days, on days where we're injured. You know what I mean? Anybody can get to work. Like, that's just how it's got to be. And that's a testament to, you know, the training that you guys do and all the work you do leading up to a fight, because a fight is like a lot more than just a fight. Making weight, showing up, selling tickets, the business. Unfortunately, the business of fighting sucks, but it's the business, right? You know what I mean? I don't know. I can never be a man. I'm too emotional. Tran knows I'm too emotional.
Yeah, it's awesome that you guys are supporting each other too, because I remember one of Daniel's super fights, dude. Like, not his fault. He was like, I think 10 pounds overweight.
Who?
You.
Me?
Yeah.
Don't
act like you don't know.
When I cut weight?
Yeah, when you cut weight.
Oh, damn, dude. I was like 13
know.
pounds overweight, man. That was bad. I had to get to 190. Oh, my God. Okay. All right.
So the support is like
It wasn't my fault, though.
wasn't.
The gym scale said I was like 4 pounds, 5 pounds
We're going to
lighter.
put that in quotes, the gym scale.
Yeah,
right?
you brought your own.
I brought mine. You broke it.
Tran weighted. I didn't break it. I was cutting weight. I don't know who I was. Tran sat in the sauna with me for 5 hours when he didn't have to cut weight, just because I was like, I couldn't do it. I was at the point, I'm not fucking making it. I'm not making it. I don't give a fuck anymore. I don't care if I don't miss weight. I don't care if I miss weight. I don't care. And like, I was the only person on the card. Like, it was for Ironman grappling in New Britain. No, not New Britain.
Oh, Bristol, Connecticut.
Bristol. And Lewis got me on the card, but then he had like a family emergency, so he had to pull out. So I was like the only person. I agreed to 190, even though I was a little heavier, and I was going to get to purple belt when I was a blue belt. And then like you go to like cut weight, and I was like, oh damn, I'm like 203. I got to be 190. And I already worked out. Like, I already did open mat. And I was like, oh, man, this is bad.
He texts me. He's like, dude, something's wrong with the scale. I'm like, oh, man.
you do that trick where you take a weight and you put it. Pat took like a kettlebell. Was like, nope. I was like, chill, Pat, your scale. You messed up, bro. It's messed up.
Puts on a 5 pound weight. And it's 5 pounds.
On the dot. He's like, nah, bro, it's good. And I was like, oh. So, yeah, Tran came and cut the weight with me. And that's what you need. Like, you need people that would do that for you. And you drove me too.
Yeah, he was dying in the car.
Yeah, it was like, no, don't talk to me. And I was doing that trick where you're like putting gum in your mouth so you could try to spit a pound out.
Yeah. And then I got sipping on a big glass of water and stuff.
Yeah, you made weight for your thing easy. And then his opponent came like 5 pounds overweight.
Yeah.
So we did all that to cut weight. His opponent didn't even make weight. Oh, and his opponent was an MMA fighter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, it was horrible. And then it's like, when you cut weight, the Tran's like, yo, don't drink real quick when you wake the weight. Don't, got on and made the weight. I was 0.1 under. So I took some Powerade. I'm, oh, my stomach.
Yeah, oh, my stomach. Dude, your stomach's going to hurt, man.
Horrible.
He's
so
like,
bad.
He's like, Daniel, don't drink that quick. I was like, dude, my stomach.
Yeah, when you're sucking weight so much, that's all you're thinking about is just like water, especially Nate over here, like just losing weight. That's all. You're not even thinking about food, just water.
Yeah, my opponent came. Yeah, my opponent was there too. He's like, "Hey man, what's up? You didn't have to cut weight, right?" And bigger than me. He was still bigger than me.
He was like 6'4". Yeah. He was like, he looked like 230.
Biggest guy ever. He was like, "You didn't have to cut any weight, right?" And I was like, "Nah." He was my height. He was big. He was a really nice guy. But I was like, "Yeah, man, I had to cut a lot of weight."
Daniel's all sucked out, looking like a 170 pounder.
Yeah, I got a big ass head. But anyways, back to you guys.
But it's awesome for that support. You guys have each other.
Yeah,
it goes a long ways.
It really does, right?
Yeah, I think also back to like what you're saying about like it doesn't matter who comes, like Tran's your boy, it's like this is also like a friendship where it's like it's so ironic to see like I don't know, like this badass fighter right before he's just like dying in the weight cut, and it's like it's really hard to see your friend go through that in general, and it's hard to separate as like, this is his job and this is just a part of it, but it's like someone's got to do it. Like you can't do it alone, of course, and it's like a very good like team bonding thing to just sit in the sauna and be like, just talk about, life and like why we do what we do. It like reinforces it, it's like,
like I won't eat till you eat. What? I won't eat till you eat. Like you don't understand how big a deal that is for people, right? Just like I won't eat, but you don't have to. I'm not going to be happy and full and then the same thing, like it's a mental 100%. So as like a coach, you got to like try to keep them out of that, and that's hard, man. That people ain't themselves when they cut weight. They are not themselves, right?
It's kind of like when you like take care of a child. It's like you got to like give them agency, and it's like a lot of like developmental psychology. I feel like is very like applicable to like when Nate is like super dehydrated, he doesn't even know where he is. It's like, oh my god, like the things that like you're saying, like you touched on it. It's the tip of the iceberg. Like you see a crazy knockout, and you're like, oh my god, but you do not see the weight cuts and how brutal they are. It's
the preparation.
It's shocking. The preparation's shocking, and it's like you don't even know what people sacrifice. It's like it's pretty crazy when you see it.
How do you guys prepare for fights? Like for his training, like for training camp for fights?
I mean, like I don't think we necessarily take a a super specialized approach towards each opponent. Not yet anyway. Like I said, it's hard to study opponents. It's hard to find guys that are consistent with what they do. Mostly like I try to set up drills, like fundamental drills that we're going to train repeatedly throughout the week. Like or if it changes, it's going to be very similar. It's going to be something that ties into the drills that we were just doing. So you get those like clean technical reps. Because like, if you have to think about it, you're not going to do it. Or if you try, it's going to be too late. It's not going to work. And then you're not going to have any confidence in it. You need those reps of just clean reps of doing the right thing, the right way at the right time. That way, when you have to snap, like when it's a reflex, when it's in your face and you don't have time to think about it, it comes out properly. So like most of our training is like drilling like fundamentals, and then like maybe some systems, but like a lot of it, it's like, you know, with Nate's last couple fights, one of our big parts of training is like circling. Like we do a lot of circling footwork. We do a lot of circling out to angles to set up strikes. And I mean, with the last two guys, it's like, you can know that he's going to try to kick you in the leg, but like it's a whole system of it. Like it doesn't matter that you know that he's going to kick you in the leg. We're still going to find the leg. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's a matter of like for fights, it's like sharpening up the systems that we want to engage in. But I mean, other than that, it's just drilling. Just like he said, it's like, it's just training as usual.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Dude,
that's that thing, right? Where like you have to get better, but you have to like game plan for somebody else, but you don't want to focus on what they just do because you're not going to work on what you do.
The sport is so fickle too. People pull out, like Dan's saying, you know, and it's like, even if like it's true that people don't also always like, you know, people change, people get better, you know, just like we got here, we got better fast, you know, it's like, but also like people pull out willy nilly, and it's like, you know,
or they just don't want to fight.
Yeah, people will
fighters that
people
don't
will
want to
make
fight.
you,
Is very
yeah, people will miss weight or like ask to do different weights, and it's such a fickle, like it's a crazy business, you know. So like Dan's saying, it's like you don't really want a bunch of random puzzle pieces. Like you want an approach. Like it's the approach we always talk about. Like, it's the approach, not necessarily to getting out of an armbar or getting out of a triangle or, you know, ducking. It's the approach to problem solving in general. Is what martial arts is, right? It's problem solving, you know. It's problem solving under pressure, like that, you know, Joe Rogan quote or something like that. But
yeah, always Joe Rogan.
yeah, it's always like Joe Rogan, you know. It's like extreme, or it's like problem solving under extreme time pressure or something of the sort, and that's what it is, you know. And it's like you don't really want like a bunch of tools. Like you want to know like why the tool set works and when to do what. It's like getting out of an armbar is great, but it's like, why did that even work? You know, it's like, and then apply that to every submission where it's like, oh, this is what's keeping me down. Get out of that. You know, this is the lever. This is the fulcrum. Like it's the approach, you know?
Yeah. Well, like I wouldn't want to train, like say a leg kick, for example. I wouldn't want to train a leg kick specifically for an opponent being like, I can hit this guy with this leg kick. I want to train a leg kick that I can hit any opponent with, you know? So it's like, it's taking that training. It's like, oh, I could train for this guy and I'm going to do these super special combos or strikes. But like that's going to fail you, because what happens now if that guy doesn't give you what you saw? You know what I mean? What happens if you get there and you find out you can't do what you planned on doing? You know, like you need to have systems and fundamentals behind that. It can't be, well, like this is my Hail Mary. This is what's going to do it. This is the one piece that's the answer. Like there is no one piece that's the answer. Like a lot of people like stumble through life looking for the, you know, the winning lottery ticket, the one piece. And it's like, you could have established a ton of steps that would have got you there. You know, so I think it's like the difference of that. It's like there is no one piece. It's everything that you're doing. So it's like we're going to train as many things consistently as we can that like will get us the results we want. And I think like in MMA, like you see it, I think in wrestling is a good example, like MMA wrestlers compared to like competing collegiate wrestlers or like, you know, whatever it is. It's like you see these wrestlers who are competing in college and stuff. They shoot, they reshoot, they reshoot, they reshoot, they transition, they reshoot. A wrestler in MMA, they shoot, it doesn't work, they bail. You know what I mean? And now they're not training their wrestling fundamentals in the same way. So it's like they've gotten away from fundamentals and gotten into something more specialized, and now it's taking away, you know? Whereas if like you're training your proper fundamentals, you're not worried about where it goes. Like with Nate's fight with Eduardo, you know, he came out and he started circling, kicking at the legs, which is, you know, that was part of our game plan. And then Eduardo rushed him. And I was nervous for 1 second when he first got his hands on him. He got his hands on him, started pushing him to the fence. But I saw Nate take his time, establish good clinch position, and then he was safe against the fence. And I was like, oh, well, nothing to worry about. And training like those fundamental positions and techniques, like it gave him the confidence to secure the position. And then we had nothing to worry about. It's like, okay, you're where you want to be and you can't do what you want to do. So what are you going to do now?
And they're like, what?
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing. I
elbowed
was
in the
I was
face.
literally like sitting on the pretty much next to the octagon or the cage, and we kind of snuck our seats over there. But anyways, as
Gets away with shit like that all the time, bro. Everyone swears they know him.
I don't know how I did it, but I did it. But yeah, as Nate was like kicking, that was something I was kind of I knew he was gonna do that. But then all of a sudden Nate lands this brutal elbow to his last opponent's face, and I thought he was gonna drop, and I was like, wow.
Yeah, elbows are nasty weapons. I would say that compared to like hands, especially in MMA, like I'm surprised a lot more guys don't use their weapons. I don't know if it's like a range thing where they don't train it. I think a lot of guys don't like it because it's hard to train with your partners, like elbows without, like you can put elbow pads on and stuff, but an elbow can still hurt if somebody runs into it.
Or it's like a motherfucker.
That's
So,
like one of the
like-
hardest bones, right?
Yeah.
aside
Oh
from
my
your
God.
knees,
Well, and it's great because like you don't have to hit
it
people.
cuts people
You
too.
ever see the Rock through the people's elbow, bro?
That's it, yeah.
It's over, bro.
Who stood up from that? The Undertaker.
those
He's the only
eyebrows.
one. You know?
That's crazy.
But like elbows and knees are more dangerous weapons. You don't even have to bash somebody with an elbow hard. You know what I mean? You can go quick. You can just touch them light and it cuts them up. But yeah, I think if you're confident and you're drilling with it, like we drill to use our elbows. Like we were talking about earlier, we want to fight mean. Like we're not in there to like have a nice friendly competition with you and like, like we're in there to hurt you and get you out of there so that way you don't hurt Nate. That's the goal. Is like we want to hurt you first. We want to get you out of there. Then we'll,
As soon as he hit that, you could see his opponent's eyes. He
broke
just
it,
did
man.
not want to be there.
You really broke him, and it's like you said, like this guy doesn't kick, and it's like Nate definitely kicks,
Yeah.
But also like way back in the day when Nate and I were doing a grappling class, he's like telling me about elbows, and I'm like, you know what? It's so obvious, and it's like why don't people throw them? And he's like, not a lot of people throw them, and it's like it's a stylistic thing, but also like he's just like it's like a war hammer.
Yeah.
It's like it's a hatchet. Thank you. Yeah, and so like Muay Thai really tells the full story of a fight where, there's outside weapons, there's, inside fighting, there's elbows and knees. Like, something John would say is like outside fighting is like jabbing is like we're fencing, inside fighting is like we're knife fighting, like hooks and uppercuts and elbows and knees. And like, you would think like, elbows are a grappler's best friend because that's the range, it's like if you can hit someone, you can shoot. If you can shoot, you can elbow, it's like it's a like Muay Thai just does a really good job of the whole picture of a fight. Like you have sweeps, you have takedowns, you have strikes, you have grappling, you have weapons and other martial arts that you don't see,
Yeah, I think a lot of it always just comes back to training in your pattern, right? If you don't work certain positions, you're just not going to do them, or you're not going to be comfortable. And like you said, if you have to think, even if I'm wrestling somebody that's not a good wrestler, and I'm like, damn, I should shoot a double, and then I go and I don't get it, like what the hell, it's there all day while I'm thinking about doing it instead of just having my subconscious tapping into my subconscious, and I hit that flow and I just move. It's the same thing. People are just like, that's the highest level, and I don't think as far as like MMA, like when you see like you can see like the levels of people that could really strike and the people that just can't, and it's just apparent. You know what I mean? And that's supposed to be the highest level of fighting, and that's just, it comes down to training. Like you see a lot of people that train around here, and you're just like, what are they doing? Like what? Like I'm not gonna judge them and say it's bad. I just, why are they doing that? You know what I mean? Like if I can't ask why and it doesn't make any sense, then I'm not gonna believe it. I'm not gonna do it because I'm seeing it. I'm like, I don't. Of course, you're not gonna start off being Israel Adesanya, or Adesanya, but you could start seeing the right patterns, right? The I'm fainting, you know what I mean? Like even like what you say about your hands up. Like some people don't fight with their hands up, you know what I mean? But you can see how they move. Let's look at Ronda Rousey, right? One thing about her is like her head movement. Where was it? It was nowhere. And like that's like something that you should you need to know head movement. Like, okay, cool, she has a nice hook. Okay, she hits hard. Okay, she looks good hitting pads. Everyone looks good hitting pads at a certain level, right? If you got a good pad person, everybody can look
She
good hitting
tricked me,
pads.
man.
Yo, dude, she was hitting pads, bro.
When I saw the trailer, I'm like, ooh, she got nasty.
Dude, she was hitting pads. And then I was with somebody because I grew up watching boxing because Hispanic households predominantly watch boxing, and boxers, the sweet science, it's beautiful to watch. And he's just like, where's the head movement? I'm like, what? It's just right there. It's just right there. You can move, but your head is just right there, like right down the pipe all the time. And you get good people that can just see that. And it's like, it's not enough to just move back when you're getting hit. You can't even do that when you wrestle unless you're going for like a sacrifice throw or something. You should never be moving backwards.
Yeah,
you
straight
know?
back's a good way to get caught with something bad.
Yeah, and then what happened? Boom, kicked right in the face, man. And it's just like, bro, but why is your coach like, hey, you need to move your head. You need to move your head. You need to move your head. You just need to be conscious that you need to move your head, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just, that's so tough, right? And that's why I don't know. People don't throw elbows. I don't know.
Guys like
I hit
Anderson
pads.
Silva?
Yeah, I hit pads now. Like I box, but like even when we box, it's like head movement. Move your head. You know, you're gonna get hit. You know, and then the guy that holds mitts for me, he'll be hit and it just. I just get just. And I'm like, I can't do anything. You know, we're hitting mitts, but like
Daniel slapping his head right now.
I know, right? I'm like, oh, but yeah,
You guys can get a visual.
You know what, Tran?
Just saying, I'm helping the audience.
I'm gonna guillotine you. I got a bad.
I've been saying that for like 6 years, guys.
Dude, I want to guillotine him so bad. I've never seen him get guillotined ever. But yeah, I don't know, right? It's just the training, right? That's why like when you meet somebody that you have chemistry with, like I trained good guys who taught me, but when I started training with Tran, it was different, you know, because we were watching like the Danaher videos and stuff like that, and he was like breaking stuff down for me, and it made more sense.
Right.
You know, and then you start rolling, you see, like, it just made more sense as why I was doing these moves or going for these moves, right? And then you just cut out the bullshit because that's what competition shows you, right?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I would say that some of the biggest things that I found with the two of these guys and why I've chosen to move into working with them more than anybody else is that they understand the game on a different level. I think I mean, you can use this for like people say it all the time. Like, you need to know the game you're playing. Like, don't hate the player. Like, hate the game, right? And I think a lot of people, they don't understand the game that they're playing. Whether it's martial arts, whether it's finance, whether it's like anything in life. Like, there is a game being played in all different areas of life, and these two understand the game. And they understand it so well on a fundamental level, and then they have a great ability to like simplify it. And I think people make martial arts like way more complicated because, you know, like when you first started, I'm sure we all had the moment where you like see a technique done, you're like, holy fuck, what was that? Like a fucking magic trick. You're like, dude, that was fucking crazy. But as you go, you start to pick things up. Like we talked about the reticular activating system last time, when we kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier too, is just like you start seeing things, you start seeing patterns, you start understanding it, and then you build on that. And the one thing was like, Alex used to say this all the time is, and you said trimming the fat, like trimming the fluff is I think what you said, right? Cutting out the fluff.
get rid of that fluff, baby.
And I think the one thing was like, they really took the different realms for me and they just simplified it. Like there was just too much going on from learning. Like I've learned a ton from all the different coaches that I've trained with, and they all had specific things that they did really well, and they all kind of like integrated different information, and they gave me information that like really made sense, but then there was like still things that were missing. And it goes down to, like you said, the approach. And it's like, now it's like go further faster. You know, you're learning faster in shorter periods of time without having to kill myself for, you know, what was it? Would have been like 3 hours, 2 to 3 hour sessions 3 times a day, 2 times a day. Now it's like it's really only like maybe like 3 hours altogether total, but it's like what we're getting done in that time frame, so that, like you said, when we get out into a fight, it's like I don't have to think anymore. I can trust that my body is going to do what it needs to do, and I don't need to try and, like, my brain will calculate, my body will move where it needs to be, because we've practiced the fundamentals. We know where we're safe, we know where we're not. And on previous fights I've had, it's like the anxiety would get to me because I just didn't have direction, and I didn't know what the right thing was. It was too much, like there's too much randomness, you know, like the trimming the fat came from like really getting rid of randomness. Like these two really made fighting for me. Like people talk about like, oh, like the puncher's chance. It's like, that's a bunch of bullshit. People who talk about the puncher's chance, they don't know, they just don't understand the game on that level. They talk about it like they're like intelligent and they say this stuff, but the puncher's chance is like, Dan did a really good job of explaining the puncher's chance. How it's like, if you're in a safe space, like if you're like distance and controlling the distance, controlling the gap, controlling space, and putting yourself like I said, taking away weapons and stuff like that. It's like if like Tran's on the other side of the table, like like I have to get up and move myself, either climbing the table or go around to hit him.
If you do, I'm taking this axe away.
I can take this axe and hit him on the head with it, but I have to change that distance. Like there's no right now. Like he has time to read that, so it's like if you can understand the like elements that are going on, like if you can understand that science and understand like what controls the action, then it's like you've just cut like all that bullshit out. It's like there is like no. Oh, what if he gets me? It's like yeah, if I zig what I'm supposed to zag, but that's like that's a miscalculation on my fault. That doesn't you know it's not like a chance thing. It's like if I'm like, let's say I'm just like in my head, like that timing thing. If you're thinking about everything, you're behind timing. John Manley used to say that to us all the time. If you're thinking, you're behind timing. So if you're in the moment and you're working through the systems and the program that you've been working, your body's going to do what it naturally does. So if you're just like hitting pads and you're just like moving forward, like Dan was saying with Costa, it's like you hit that double jab every time you think it's clean. It's like you get a false sense of security that you're going to be able to land that if you're not landing it, you're not winning. And it's like there's so many other elements that they've like taught me to approach this game and like how to shut people down and like how to move in a way where it's like all my shit all the stuff was random to me. Now it's like, oh, this game makes makes way more sense. Like it's like that's what I'm saying. It's like that fear was like, what if it doesn't work? What if it doesn't work? It's like I know it works. Like he said, with you film study, you see people do it. You see like professionals do it at the highest level. How did they get to that level? It's not a gift. It's not some like their God-given gift. They're just amazing human beings. Like no, they worked for that. You know, some people may be able to pick things up a little quicker than others, but you still have to put in so many reps and doing it properly. Like just some people just let shit go too easily in training. And like you as an athlete, like me as an athlete, you as an athlete, him as an athlete, all of us as athletes, we have to be accountable for the way that we train, because they can give me the drills. They can say, hey, Nate, do this, like hold pads for me, roll with me, do this. But it's still on me at the end of the day to make sure that I'm in there and focusing on what I have to do and not like dicking around with my friends and like just like shooting the shit and whatever. Like it still comes down to the athlete to take the information and then apply it consistently and not be like, okay, that's good enough. Like you said, like some coaches will be like, hey, do this today, do this tomorrow, do this. And it's like, it's all over the place. It's like, no, we have to, if you want this to work, you need to do it a specific amount of times. Like Malcolm Gladwell had that book where he talked about the 10,000 reps to like mass or something. I don't know how like true that is, but it's like pretty similar. Like it's a pretty important thing to just consistently do something so you can just do it without thinking. Yeah, grease the grove. So,
something you touched on is that, like people tend to see things as attributes that are actually skills. Like for me, it was cardio. It's like, it's so much easier to just say that I do not possess this attribute than acknowledge it as a skill that you do not have and could work for, So it's like, again, like a lot of snake oil salesman coaches out there on Instagram, it's like they want to sell you what, like they think works, but it's like, especially with leg locks, where it's like if I had $1 for every time someone was like, oh, that was a crank and not a choke, or that's like, like that's just a leg lock, I don't really do those, then I would have like, I don't know, like $20, $30. But like, really, it's like people don't want to acknowledge that like these are skills, whereas like we just want to get better. Like if I get caught with a submission I've never seen before, I'm going to ask them like, what the hell was that? And it's like, it's not a like anything like a good coach will demystify what is mystified, I
think what you guys have too that people don't realize or understand why you guys work so well together, because what Nate is rare. People that want to get to a certain level, they talk it, but they ain't there. How many people you see sign up for a tournament and then leading up to it, they're not around. And you're like, dude, what are you doing? Oh, Kings, this him. I'm like, nah, man, like, what do you mean? You know what I mean? And that's for me, what's mentally draining for me as a coach sometimes. It's like, I want you to be there, and if you're going to do something, you're going to do it, and I want you to do it well, so you have to train, because this is something you can't bullshit. But a lot of people do that, a lot of people, they want to be that, they want to be this and that, and then they don't take accountability, you know what I mean? And you can really lie to yourself a lot in this game. Ego's big, and people lie. I try to tell people, I'm like, fighting is the one thing in life that everyone thinks they're good at, off rip. If you played football your whole life, right? If you play football your whole life, and I was like, yo, let's play football together, or let's play basketball together. You ever played? Nah. Okay, well, you think you're gonna beat me? Probably not. You've been playing for a while. You know what I mean? Nah. But if I was like, yo, what's up? You want to fight? And you'd be like, oh, you ever fought before? Nah. I mean, I fucked around with my cousins back in the day, blah blah. Or I've got a couple street fights, blah, this and that. And I'm like, oh, like a lot of people are like, oh, you wrestled? I'm like, yeah, I wrestled for like a year. They'll be like, oh, I could take you down. I'm like, you ever wrestled? Yeah, with my cousins. I was like, so why do you think you can beat me? Oh, because you know I'm that guy, blah, 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 this and that. And I was like, listen, let me break it down to you really quick. Just because you fought that person and you beat them up doesn't mean you can fight. It just means they can't fight as good as you, and they suck. They suck. What is it? They suck more than you do at fighting, but doesn't mean you're a fighter. You know, if I beat Tran in basketball, we never played, doesn't mean I'm good at basketball. It just means I'm better than him, and he just sucks more than me. So you have a lot of people that don't take that accountability, and they say it, but they don't do it. Right. You know what I mean? And it's like so refreshing to like meet people that like have a coach that's like, hey, this is, you know, this is what we're gonna do, and then you see like your student like actually doing it, and like this, and that's another thing, teaching somebody something, and then actually seeing how many times we teach somebody something, and they're not doing it. They're not doing it. Hey, bro, I know you like that one submission, but like I'll give you like I'll give you $20 if you don't do it the whole month. Just that once. Just don't hit it. Please, just don't do it. Just don't do it. Don't go for it. Don't even look at it. Don't even go for it. Don't. You love it too much. You know, like your knockout punch. You love it too much. You know, just because you can knock somebody, just because you have power, don't mean you know how to strike, right?
Yeah.
Bro, please don't do it. And they'd be like, nah, I'm still gonna go for it. And you're just like, why did you do that? I don't know. It's just what I do. So like when you meet somebody like what you guys have, it's crazy, right? You've been around the block you've been around, you OG in this game, right?
You're talking to me like I'm a hooker.
Yeah. Shit. Shit. You ain't that cute. Stop it.
Oh,
but you know what I'm saying, right? You see a lot of people that
sure.
they don't take accountability for their training, and then they get all these resources and they don't use it.
Right.
And then they're 5 years later, like, man, and they look back and you're just like, but what can you do, right? Because then when you find somebody that like breaks it down, simplifies, it's like, hey man, I just want to help you get better. That's it. Like no other bullshit. I'm not trying to show you some new shit where it's like, he learned that from me. You see that shit? He wasn't doing that before he was with me. You know what I mean?
Right.
But then actually having somebody that like does it, that's a big deal, especially in this world. Because like you see all these guys, oh yeah, they're training online. Oh yeah, they're at the gym. Oh yeah. Did you really train though? You know, just because you were there, did you really train? And we see it.
See, just to take a picture for your friends on Instagram.
Oh, they go to a nice world class gym and did you roll with this? Nah, I just, I was a little hurt, so I just wanted to watch and this and that, which is, there's nothing wrong with watching. I was like, yeah, but why do you got like 50 posts up? Why are you sweating in that picture? I thought you didn't train. So like, it's great to see because you just see it. You just don't see it a lot, especially in this area too. Like I always try to tell Nate, I'm like, dude, you got an open invite every time you want to come on. And we got a lot of good positive feedback from your episode. But I'm like, yo, build these people up. Like, build the people that are this game is shitty. It feels great I bet it feels amazing to TKO somebody. But man, to get there, the pay, the weight cut, the business part of it, you know what I mean? Like, I loved when you were like, "What's my name?" I fucking loved it, bro.
That's amazing.
I'm about to make a T-shirt out of that shit.
Yeah, there you go.
What's my name, bro? Hey, CES, get this man on your main card. You're like, what the fuck, bro? Like, come on, dude. 2-0, homegrown kid. Yeah, CES is Connecticut, right? So it's.
They're located out of Rhode Island. Yeah,
Rhode Island?
That was my third fight for them. So this will be my fourth fight for them. And,
right down the street, man. Like, you know what I mean? Support. If you want to bring these people up, man, you know what it is. Like,
I think it's. I think it's they're starting to see that, and we've been building a really good relationship with CES. They have been very good to me, and I don't have any complaints. I think. I do look forward for fighting for them, and they've worked with me like they've been really great. So
hey, this is a business right?
I think now, yeah, exactly.
They want you for exciting,
right?
Yeah,
exactly.
So
and
you've delivered.
There are guys on the circuit that have been around longer than me, and they might have more fights. They might have their managers might have better connections with them, or they, you know what I mean. They've been working with that manager for longer. My manager and I have been working together for like almost a year, I think, or a year now, and he didn't primarily work with CES. I had fought for CES before I had this manager, so they had like reached out again, and now like I think we're building that connection. I have to kind of like climb the ladder, whereas some of the other managers that have been around, like Tyson and from Top Game, like he's been around New England for a while, and he's got those connections, and some of those you're seeing a lot more of those guys on that card. But I think it's because he has that well-established relationship with them. They're not guaranteed, but they're more likely to have their guys aren't going to pull out. Like they're gonna be there. They're trying to get their guys to the UFC. Like, so I think I just have to take a little bit of a slower route. But I think the last couple times, I mean, they see it. Like, I'm pretty sure the president or the owner of the company had said it on Instagram. He was like, keep an eye out for this kid. Like, he's legit. Like, he's a real deal. Like, he had said it at the press conference that I was at with them. He's like, there's a lot of Facebook fighters here. A lot of Facebook fighters out here. He's just like, I've been doing this game for, I think he's been doing it for 40 years or something like that. And he was like, like, there are people who, like, they talk like they want to be about it. Like you're saying in the gym, I'm the man, I do this shit. But he said that, and I, like, respect that, because, like, he's been around the game forever, boxing and MMA. So, I know that they see potential in me. They see that, I'm the next thing to come out of here. Like, I know that, I believe it. We train it, and it's, I put my time and I've put all of my effort into this, and I truly do believe that this is what I'm meant to do, and that is, like we talked about last time, that's what Destined for Greatness is, just remembering you're gonna go out and do something different, and do something that like, just something that you're passionate about, something that you love, something you can wake up every day and be like, man, I fucking love what I do. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, man, I'm excited to get back out there and fight for them again, and we're always cooking up new stuff, and we're gonna go out there and put some damage on the Hulkamaniacs out there. And,
Hell yeah!
Show them what New England's all about. Cause
yeah,
I know that, yeah, vicious killer nerds.
Wait, you guys did I say you guys said House of Nerds? Was that what you think? Right, House of Nerds.
Oh, he said a couple things.
We're still figuring out our
Killer nerds.
branding. Yeah, bastards, nerds.
House of Nerds works if you watch Game of Thrones. You know what I mean? So, like, you definitely do House of Nerds, bro. That shit's dope. Hey.
Yeah, it's funny, but, like, what you were talking about before is, like, it's like everyone wants to be Jesse James, but, like, killing Jesse James doesn't really make you Jesse James, And then you run into Jesse James and you're like, this is why I'm not Jesse James.
Yeah, bro.
Those Facebook fighters, I've never heard that phrase, but that's a lot of them, and it's like, for them, it's like, you don't really know you're not the guy until you run into the guy, and it's like,
Oh, that sucks.
It sucks, but then it's like,
Hey, it is the truth. It sucks.
It's how you get back from those losses.
Everybody has an ego. We have to have an ego. Like, I'm training for this tournament and this match, tournament, I guess. And on Saturday, I started upping it, and I'm walking around the mat. This is my time. This is mine to win. I'm screaming in the gym. This is mine to win. This is me. I'm winning this. This
agency,
is me. Yeah, I'm going to show out. Right, Tran? I'm going to show out. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You have to be that way, because if not, you know what I mean? What are you doing here, right? Like, yeah. Right?
What tournament is this?
We'll talk about it off air.
I think that I think it's sometimes people just don't take into consideration how serious this stuff is, and they see it as like a sport. Whereas like a
lot of athletes get into it, right?
A lot of athletes get into it, and that's another thing, like a lot of guys rely on their athleticism, and it takes them far. That might be why some of these people want to only focus on specific techniques, because their athleticism allows them to get away with bullshit that is not going to get away when you're going up against another athlete. I was speaking with the Taekwondo captain of the Egypt's Olympic team. I was talking with this guy, and he was saying that, when you get to the highest level, I asked him, what's the difference between the best guys in the world and the guys that are just like, that don't really make it? And he was like, well, when you get to the highest level, everybody's strong, they're fast, they got power. He was just like, they're technical. It comes down to mindset. And it comes down to like the way that you train and the way that you're like your belief in yourself to like get things done. And I think a lot of guys, they see things like, we're just conditioned that we see something work, we're gonna keep doing it. We think it works, and it's like it's like a myth of experience. Like that book, The Myth of Experience, like talks about how we have an experience and we think this is the way it works and this is how things always are gonna go, and then you have an experience, you go, oh fuck, and that's where I think like the approach that we take, where it's more about the technical aspect and like changing from being more centered around your athleticism, how fast can you explode, how hard can you hit, more about like how can you set people up, create problems, and understand the game that you're playing. Like you said, like Dan said before, it's like, this is just a series of targets. We're just trying to accumulate as much damage on your body as we can, because eventually it's going to shut down. And that doesn't mean I have to hit you with a right hand and knock you out, because that's not always the case. But I know that if I kick you in the liver, if I hit you in the right spot, you're going down. If I kick your calf enough, as we've seen, these dudes just fall right over. So it's like, and it's the same thing with punches to the head, accumulating damage over time. And that's like the approach that we have. It's like, that's the whole vicious killer nerds mindset, is that we're using science, we're using he's studying, like he's like using like case studies where we apply it, we go to different gyms and spar and grapple and see where we're taking data, we're figuring out different things, like how is this working? If it doesn't come back, say, hey, this didn't work, how can we like fine tune it? What are the adjustments that need to be made? But it's like a science, it's an art, and honestly, like I don't know, I trust this process now. It makes a lot more sense to me, and I really do believe that like what we have going on right now is phenomenal. And so I look forward to getting out there and showing more people like what we do and who we are, because I think, again, we're still a little unknown. What was it, the nobodies quote?
Dangerous nobodies.
Dangerous nobodies. Yeah, we're just a bunch of dangerous nobodies. And
put the spot on the map, bro. Put yourself. You're making moves.
Yeah.
You're making waves, man. Making waves. Dre, before we start wrapping this up, you got anything you want to ask, say?
Oh, shit. Give me like 5
2
minutes, man. I'll come up.
Well, we don't got 5 minutes. We got like 14 minutes left of space on this.
We're running out of space.
Yeah, Nick. Yeah. This 2 hours already. 2 hours passed, but yeah, 2 hours. These podcasts, our producer was like, you should keep it around like less than an hour. I was like, yeah, we will. Yeah. I think we did one.
Red
one.
flag.
Yeah, yeah, red flag. I told her straight up, I was like, that's just not going to happen. Like, we just have too much fun doing this.
Tell the producer his show can be under an hour.
She will kill me. She'll kill me. I don't fuck with her. She'll kill me. She'll be like, oh, yeah? So upload this yourself. I'm like, no, sorry. I apologize. I apologize.
I love you. No, I will have to say for sure, Alex, I've never seen him compete. And I think I was told him that he doesn't really compete. But when he did in that last top level,
dude, he was blowing my phone up about you. I was like, yeah, I know that kid. He's like, yo, him against Stapleton, man.
I think it was the first one, the top level.
Yeah.
The first one
Against Jack. Yeah, I
Jack
did one
Stapleton.
in between then, actually. Yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, that was like I think 2 top levels ago, I guess. But
yeah, I was telling Daniel prior to that, before he even went on, I was like, wow, these guys are all boring. No one's going for submission. They're just kind of stalling. And then here comes Alex, goes against Stapleton, does the complete opposite,
Going for the kill.
That's
going
what
for
we
the
do.
kill.
Yeah,
I was like, wow, this guy's impressive.
It's so disappointing to like grappling is not always the most fun to watch. And I'm a jiu-jitsu guy. I love jiu-jitsu, but it's like the sport has been cultivated in such a way that people don't want to risk anything. Like, humans just tend to be more like risk averting than gain seeking. And it's like, people don't want to get tapped in order to spend money to make money. It's
I
like,
wish all my losses lately have been by tap. I
I mean,
tapped or I tap, bro. I'm like, I live by the sword, die by the sword.
well, I also lost, so
Yeah.
Yeah, but you lost. That shit don't
yeah.
count, dude. You lost by decision when they said it was gonna go to a draw, and then
either way, yeah. Like I don't see myself as a competitor, but like
Stapleton is a black.
I've always been a fan of Jack. I've always
Yeah.
been watching him. I've been watching his cool Instagram shit,
Yeah.
and then you know what I'm saying. So it's like
get me going.
So basically, yeah, I was like, okay, if you offer me a name, it's like they say never meet your heroes, but it's like, I mean, he's not my hero, but it's like I've always looked up to him. He's a guy, been competing, we're like the same age. I thought he was a lot older. Like we're the same age.
He's
Just like
2021, right?
Yeah, we're like the same age. I might be like a bit older than him. It's like, oh, I thought he was like 26, been doing this, and it's like he's just kind of like we're very similar. Like we've taken different paths, but like we're both just young, passionate jiu-jitsu people. He's way more of a competitor, also coaches. I kind of see myself as a coach, but it's like, it's not really like about the money, it's like nice to make some money from ticket sales, but it's like, if you're going to offer me Jack Stapleton, it's like, of course I'm going to take it, like see where you're at relative to just, who else is out there. It's like, you don't really know.
That's
and
a
it's
big
like,
name to take when you don't compete. That's
And
like,
it's like,
that's a name. That's a name. Oh, I don't compete. You want to do grappling? Nah, I want to take on Jack Stapleton.
I mean,
like, that's a big name, bro.
I mean, if Nicky Ryan challenged me, I'd be like, hey, let me coach Nate for a bit. But like, if it's like, okay, like, I think I can beat this dude, but I'm going to try.
We've been on the same mat with Nicky Ryan, bro, watching him roll. Oh, that kid's so good.
He's
That
the future,
kid's
yeah.
so good. Like,
B
that's
team.
so
Watch out for that
good,
B
bro.
team. We can be
Dude,
like the C team or something.
Those guys, man, watching those guys roll, I'm like, damn, we're not
Head
doing
team.
the same thing.
Yeah. And I appreciate it though. Thank you. And it's like,
Yeah.
it's like a loss is a loss. But you were like, I thought you won that match, and I'm
I
like,
really did.
You know what? Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. I'm very biased though. So
Now, I watched the highlights, and it just seemed like he was just trying to do some flashy guard, trying to pass your guard with some flash shit, and wasn't really going for anything. Like,
I've
you're
actually
the one
gone up to
attacking.
Bristol and like trained with him, and like he's
he's
like
like
a good
Ascension,
guy to
yeah.
train with. And yeah, there was just that Ironman event. I was actually gonna compete in that, but opponent pulled out and they offered me someone else, and I just turned it down. It wasn't really like and I wasn't ready, so I was like, yeah, I'll just pass. But yeah, that's it's like people are so obsessed with like the politics of like it's my gym versus your gym, and it's like it's just like it's like it's us versus everyone, you know? It's like, why are people caught up in this politics? Like, Jack Stapleton actually cornered me in the next top level pro. And like, if my opponent didn't show up, he was gonna compete. And so like, I walk up to find him like sitting and like kind of shaking, and I'm like, "You good?" And he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, my opponent showed up, you know. He's like, "Oh, thank God." And I was like, "Can you corner me?" And he's like, "Yeah." And you know, it's great, you know. It's like we can still be friends, you know. It's like you guys can roll,
especially in jiu-jitsu, man. It's not that personal.
Yeah,
you know
Nate
what I
could
mean?
nearly rip my heel off. Dan could punch me in the face. It's like, oh, nice, man. You know, like it's just like it's not personal. It's just like, you know, it's martial arts. People forget that it is a martial art. Like we aren't trying to hurt our training partners, but like if it's a fight, you know, it's not our job to like, it's our job to keep Nate safe. But of course, you know, we want to kill this person. You know, it's like, it's the game.
We're not fucking around.
No, we're not fucking around.
We're
like,
not just-
yeah, it's like when, you know, it's like when Gordon Ryan slapped Gab out. He's like, you know, like I'm a nice guy, but I'm not like a bitch. Like if you talk shit to my face, like I'm gonna slap you. Like
He called himself a pussy.
I prefer not to. Yeah, it's like, but like, yeah, it's like, I mean, I don't like, I'm not in this because I like violence, but it's like, you know, it's still a martial art. Like martial means war. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, part of you gotta like a little fucking people up. I don't know. That's just dope.
like it feels good knowing that I can, but it's this whole like, you know, it's like
You're just nicer than I am. You're just nice. I don't know.
I'm not a nice guy, but
I like fucking Tran up. It's my favorite thing to do. Whooping his old ass. Yeah,
well, it's like, I
what's
mean,
up?
I want to like,
talks
I
a lot
want
of
to
shit
tap
there,
him.
bro.
I do talk a lot of shit, man.
No, it's
what?
like-
Dude, he took my back like 2 weeks ago. And I couldn't get him off, and he's just there. Oh my god, dude, I was so mad, bro.
Backpack, human backpack.
Bro, I was like, yo, you fucking stalling. You fucking, dude, I was getting so mad. He's like, how's that feel? You kick it up?
I've seen it. It's
It's
horrific. Yeah.
I was so mad. He knows what to do to get me mad. He's in my ear like, yo, you fucking stall. Oh, you just want to chill here?
And you know, Tran's just gonna be smiling and be like, "Yeah, what are you
Dude.
gonna do about it?" And I'm like,
Oh, it gets me
all
so
good.
mad.
"Yeah, I feel you." I feel like it's good as a coach to like, you know, it's like that whole like bastard thing. It's like, "Oh, you bastard!" When I'll be going for like an inversion and Nate will just catch like a quick heel hook and almost rip my knee. It's like, "Ah, you bastard!" And it's like, "Let's go again." You know, it's like this is just how we got here. Is like being objective about like, yeah, like a submission's a submission. Like it's like people love to get emotionally involved and stuff, but it's like, oh, you got me. Good job. Let's go again. Like it's not that. It's pretty simple if you like can make it simple. You know.
Hey, gentlemen, any
Gotta make it
last
fun, for
words
sure.
from Nate and Dan? We're coming up on time. Anything you want to plug your Instagram? You want to plug anything you guys got going on? You know, I know. Of course, we're always gonna be saying November 7th.
Yep, November 7th in Providence, Rhode Island. We're fighting for CES 65 again. And yeah, we're looking forward to putting on another show, boys and girls. So come on out and watch us get rowdy and beat some people up.
Hell yeah! Also, they stream on Fight Pass too, right? They did.
This one should be on Fight Pass. Yeah, they caught the tail end of mine last time.
Yeah.
But hopefully they'll put me on this time, and we'll go out there and make another statement, and then we'll get right back to work and make the trudge to the UFC.
Hell yeah, it's gonna happen. Manifest
name?
Destiny.
What's my name?
my name? I fucking love it. I love it. Make a wristband
Yeah,
right
you gotta
there.
get
What's my name?
What's good with this axe here? Is this just a decoration or what?
One of our teammates made it for Pat.
Oh, this is
It's pretty dope,
a nice
right?
axe. Yeah.
Yeah, Dan, thanks for having you on,
Yeah,
man.
thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. It's awesome.
You guys cooking up something good. You guys cooking up something good. Alex, any last words?
Kuzushi Combat Club on Instagram. My Instagram is Alex J Warren. Van Horn Park Fight Club. You guys know his name, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, thanks for having us on. This is a great
Yeah,
time.
of course, man. You guys always welcome visit. You guys come on whenever you want.
Appreciate it.
We like having people on. Yeah, we do. Tran, anything for the viewers?
Oh,
Listeners?
I don't know.
He's dude. He takes like after watch. He's gonna we're gonna stop recording. He's gonna be like, I can still keep going now. I'm warmed up now. Like, damn, bro, it took you 2 hours to warm up.
I got to shout out the Block Muay Thai and True Path Grappling. Two of my friends that are doing good things. So
Hell yeah.
Sweet. Alrighty, guys. Of course, as always, you can find us at jujitsu.lifting.life on YouTube. If you like our stuff, like and subscribe. Leave a comment, good or bad. We'll get back to you. We appreciate everybody. And guys, as always, our last message would always be: life is hard. You're not alone. We love you. We support everybody. We thank everybody for being here, being a part of our journey. And if you ever need anything to reach out, please just let us know. Hit us up. We're always there for you, and we appreciate you, and we love you. All right? We out.